your brake pulleys all go up and they go to these lift lines here. I think the only thing really to watch out for on this, should never be an issue, is if you start hearing like a kind of mid-high pitched clicking sound when these go up. These pulleys are supposed to be able to flex back and forth a little bit, and if they get hung up or if one of them's a little too tight, had to adjust one of them, then the cable will pull on the pulley at an angle and it will kind of start shaving at the side of the pulley.
Because of this spin, the twist of the cable?
Yep.
So then would we just bring it back down?
So if that happens, you'll notice there might be little shavings of the pulley on there. If that happens, the best thing to do is call us. But if you guys are feeling mechanically inclined and you see that it's clearly pulling at an angle, there's supposed to be some flex, so you can just kind of bang it back in line. But we've only had an issue with one of them, and that is really more of an install adjustment than anything else. So long term, you shouldn't run into it, but it's just something to watch out for.
Can you call this one of your main lighting bars?
I would call this one a truss.
Truss lighting bar or just truss?
Yeah, that works.
Is this truss 1 or 2? I was going to say, how are we going to
This is
we'll have to think about that.
1, I think.
1.
I don't remember what it is in the control system, but we can
They're
look.
both set up the same, right?
They're the exact same.
You gotta get it out of the way. Yeah, now you gotta carry it out. That's good to know.
This one I do not know off the top of my head, but it's a lot. That's aluminum.
What's that?
The truss.
The weight limit?
Yeah, on these ones.
It says it on the quick touch, but I think it's 2,000.
Does it record the weight as we go? So is
Yes.
there a record of the weight now so that you
It's
can...
on the quick touch.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough weight, but yeah. But yeah, we'll go over that. You can program it so that if like the weight changes unexpectedly, it will stop. So like if a kid tries to ride it up, it will stop. Which is lame.
Those things.
No one panicked about that.
I never did that in my time in school.
You know, we all end up what we, kind of delved into in high school, right? So,
Yeah,
I can only
yeah.
imagine.
I remembered all the things I did. Cool. So now we will cover the controls. So if we all want to not hit our heads, duck under this and go back over to the controls, I'll cover that. All right, that one is truss 2.
Okay. And now this is not how it would be controlled, obviously, right? Or
It is an option.
It is?
Yeah, I'll tell you all about that. Which is great because you can't see these truss from over there where the controls are.
You can see. That's right.
Let's move this out of head height for the moment. All right. So here is the control system for the motorized rigging. So you have a couple things on it to pay attention to. You'll have a display, and we'll cover what that talks about. You have a bunch of different numbers to be able to select which hoist you want to move. You have an up and down button, an emergency stop, and a couple controls and key switches, and an on. So first thing you want to do is power it on. You'll hear a bunch of clicks. So whenever you turn it on, it makes all the actuators and relays and stuff in the motors go through a little test process to make sure that everything is functioning as properly. And if it goes through it, it will come up system OK, and at that point you are ready to select motors and move. So when you select a motor, it will come up with a couple different things. It will tell you the number that you selected. It will tell you its name. So like number 3 is the projection screen, which is downstage up there.
Is there a 1? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so 1 is the farthest truss out in the house.
Okay, got it.
2 is
That
the
is
one closer to the stage.
So that is 2.
Yep. And you guys have 20 motorized sets, and I can never remember what they are, so usually I just push the button until I find out which one it is.
We'll put a little list.
Yeah, and that might be a good option too.
That's 2, and then that's 3 for projections.
So it will tell you its number, its name, it will tell you its current position that it's at in feet and inches, It will tell you what it thinks the load is, so it thinks that that's 381 pounds right now.
Okay.
It'll tell you one of the trims, which I'll tell you what that is in a minute, and it'll tell you a speed. Speed doesn't really matter because none of these are variable speed, even though you have variable speed control here.
It stays the same
It
speed.
doesn't do anything, yeah. So when you want to move something, those of you who've been in theater before know what's the first thing you do before you move something?
Let your friends know.
Yell at everybody that it's moving, and then you hold down the button for the direction you want to go. So as long as you're holding the button, it will move in that direction until it reaches a limit or something that you're going to run into. So don't run it into things.
Does it have a sensor?
Uh,
Stop if it's going to run into something?
Yes and no. The only way it would know is if the weight suddenly changed and if
Okay.
you had that feature on. These all have limits programmed in, but the limits are programmed based on the batten itself, not what's on it.
What are those numbers like this?
These are clocks. That I think Ryan will probably be covering that from
Okay.
ETC. I've never used those. I didn't have those when I was in theater. The timers and stuff. But yeah, so like the electrics, I think their low trim is 4 feet. So if you have lights that hang down farther than 4 feet, you will run them into the ground.
Right.
So it's a real stop. No, it won't stop.
It'll stop at 4 feet no matter what is on it.
Stop
Yeah.
after it switches the light.
Yeah, so the idea is to watch.
Right.
And
Like a real batten.
yeah, so don't run it into things. So down arrow, green for grass, blue for sky. So if we want to bring in the projection screen, we have it selected, and you hold down the green button, you yell at everybody, and then in comes your screen. Pretty simple.
That's the only speed, huh?
Yeah, they're all about this speed, except for the truss, which are painfully slow.
And that's for all the battens run the same speed. So the music
More or
when
less.
we're moving things in and out, that's going to be
way
really
slow.
Yeah.
So if you have a ladder accidentally on stage and you drop that down on the ladder,
Crunch.
is it going to need to be reset by going up first, move the ladder, then drop it back down? How would you go around that?
Yeah, so if you run into something, just unrun into it, go the opposite direction until you're not running into it anymore, and then that's pretty much it.
That's the only reset process.
Yeah, I think so.
Otherwise, it'll stop and you won't be able to lower it. It might not stop. It'll just keep going.
Yeah, it'll just keep going. And
Or break whatever. Like
Well,
the
if you have the
projection screen
weight-
would break.
so
Wait.
if you have the weight monitoring turned on, which we'll talk about how to do that, then it will stop, and I can't remember what the exact message on screen it tells you, but you should be able to go the other direction, and it will fix it. But we'll cover how to turn that monitoring on and off, so if it is still freaking out, you can just turn the monitoring off, and then it won't know.
Now, is there a manual if this, for some reason, a power outage?
Above.
Yeah.
You got to go up above. And
Yep, so
and
up
there's
on
a
the
rigging up
grid,
there.
every motor has an individual push button that you can
Did you
run
see
it
that?
manually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and going backwards, for being back at the top, the motor that's closest out here controls that rigging out there?
No.
No.
The motor that controls those riggings are on the truss.
Yeah, so the truss
Okay.
each has its own motor
That's
on
what you were
it.
explaining over here. I
Yeah.
couldn't see. Okay.
Yeah, and then the rest of these, they just go in order. Yep, you just have to remember that they alternate from
Right.
side to side. So like number 3, the projection screen is over there. Number,
Odds and that's evens?
No.
yes.
No. It
It's not?
changes. Yeah, about halfway through, it changed because there's two motors.
Oh,
Yeah.
lame.
Oh, so 2 motors on this now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the spacing
There's a
is
space,
slightly different.
And it switches the other
But
direction.
the numbers that are on here correspond with the number labels that are on the raceway up there.
Now, you were saying if there was a power outage, you could go up there and move something. You can't. If this stops working, those buttons up there won't move the motors at all.
If this
Unless
is
you have
if this is off.
an approved overrode switch.
Right, so there
Oh,
there
that's
actually
true.
is another, I mean, we're using the word manual in an odd way. That is just a button up there that overrides all the
Yes.
software, but
Yes.
it's still electrical. If the
But
power
yes.
goes out, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that button does work if this is on.
Right.
Okay.
If this is not on, that button will not work. But if you have power up there but not down here, that button works, but you have to have a special
little
override switch,
thingy.
which you do not get. That's for technicians.
Yeah, you'd have to call us.
She's asking, is there a crank?
No.
Yeah, no.
Old school manual, no. So if there is a power outage,
So,
down and move it into the pit.
Go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
so you can only move one motor at a time. So, yeah.
Slow things down.
Yeah. This setup is really more set up to be able to move things without it being a giant hassle of loading counterweights than it is for, being able to make massive changes
make theater.
during, yes.
Sorry.
It's one way to put it.
Sorry.
Safety first. Yeah, so you've got, number 4 is an electrical, would be our...
Number
electrical
4
on
is
stage.
actually legs. You've got
Oh,
some
okay.
legs
Oh, I
that are
see.
motorized
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Number
Need to keep
5
a cheat sheet.
is your first electric,
Okay.
yeah.
We need a cheat sheet.
Yeah, because it'll tell you, but it's a pain in the butt to sit there.
What they need to do is,
Push all the buttons till you figure it out.
on this door right here, put the control numbers.
Yeah.
Because they could probably make one, laminate them on there.
Okay.
You get it on there for us, we have it. They open the
can
door,
laminate. We have a
that's where it goes.
laminator.
Do you want Stagecraft to do that, or are we doing that?
We'll do that. We'll do Stagecraft. We'll do that.
Peter Tech can do
Yep,
it.
Peter Tech.
Well, it'd be nice to have it done by the people doing it. They usually do that for us. You just make a label, put it off the thing.
That's what I meant. Stagecraft, your company.
Yeah, so we probably would not
Okay, I'll
do
call
that.
you.
I would definitely suggest you guys do it.
I want it
See if we
quick.
get one, 'cause normally I get.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
It'd be great thing to
That's
be right at the
exactly.
beginning.
So when you're done moving a motor and you want to move to another motor, you can either deselect what you've just used, or since you can only run one at a time, if you push another one, it will automatically deselect the previous one. And then when you're done moving, I always suggest that you unselect it so that if somebody comes and pushes something, you don't unexpectedly
Did you catch that?
move something.
Yeah, that was kind of important.
What'd you say?
When you're done moving a motor, make sure you always deselect it so that if
Okay.
somebody comes and hits a button, they don't unexpectedly move a motor on you.
Does anybody have an extra pin? My pen is just like...
And I think you said this, I just want to clarify, it only moves when you're holding the button down.
Yep.
So you
yep.
can't be like, go down and then leave, and it keeps, that's great.
Nope.
When you release,
That's good to
does
know.
it stop? It just releases.
Yeah, so on number 3, if we're coming down,
Release, release.
as soon as you let go,
Okay.
it will stop.
Because there's not actually a stop, there's only the emergency
no.
stop.
Yeah, so there are times when it will pause, so you can add in, I think it's 5 different trims, which are kind of
Right.
preset stopping points. And so say you're at 21 feet right now, and there's a trim at 25 feet. Even though you're holding the button, when you get to 25, it will automatically pause and say, hey, I'm at trim number 3 or whatever. And then if you want to keep going, you just push the button again and it'll go
Right.
past it.
And that's a whole nother deal of going in and setting them.
Yeah, so which we can cover right now. If you want to program in a trim, like say we want to move the screen down to
Like the screen needs
exactly where the projector
Yeah.
is going to be at, which needs to be done. You would move it down, get it adjusted exactly where you want. And while it's selected, if you push this trim button, it will give you your
It
options.
always goes to that place until you reselect.
Yeah, so I'll show you how to recall it. If you want to program it, it gives you this list. Right now, trim 1 has a dimension in it, but we'll program one for trim 2. If you push this little button over here as a select, it will give you the option of move to trim, record trim, or delete trim. You can scroll with this. So if we go to record trim, it will ask you if you're sure. And now that trim is programmed in there, which I didn't realize is so close to the other one. So if you want it to move to that trim, it'll tell you that there are multiple trims for this. If you want to move to a specific one, you would hit that trim button, and let's say we want to go to trim 2, you would push select on move to trim, and it will now always have trim 2 loaded in it. So if we go up a bunch,
I think that's a really helpful thing for if you need to program stuff for a show.
Little like sight lines and
So
stuff
you're
like
always
that
getting
for
the
your,
same
for your borders and your electrics and all
so
that for your
once you
work.
load that trim, it'll say trim 2, 19 foot 5.5. If we go down, once it gets to that trim, it will stop there and say at trim 2.
And you just let go, and then it will just stay. You don't have to say, yes, I keep it here. You
Right,
just let
right. And if that's not where you want to be and you want to keep going, then you would just push the button again in whatever direction you want to go, and it'll keep going.
Are you Nate?
Yes.
Nate, so on the choir shell,
Uh-huh.
does that fold up when it goes up, or is it always in that position?
It folds up. You can see the other one right here is in the stored position.
So it does that on its own?
No, they are manual, and that will be covered in the rigging training tomorrow.
Okay.
That one is just down because the ETC tech needs to put some addresses into the lights.
So the only clean battens we have are like 3. We have 4
Yeah.
open battens. What numbers are those?
Let's see.
Which is nothing.
Number 10 is your first GP.
Marshall didn't have 5.
15 is your second GP. 16 is third GP. And 18 is fourth GP. Yeah, that's the 4 of those.
Just 4. Okay.
I don't know, if we were going to get really detailed about something, we could always move the borders.
Yeah, I mean, all your borders, all your legs, all that stuff
Those
is
are all
all
movable.
on,
So-
just dead hung on pipes too. So.
Sorry, I missed this. I wanted to be. Okay, that's all right. I didn't realize it. Yeah.
So the biggest thing that we covered is you just pick a motor. It will tell you the number. It will tell you where it is. Tell you its name, and then you push green for down, blue for up, and don't run it into things. Really, more or less the gist of it.
Right. Let go of the buttons.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
But nothing's labeled.
Not yet.
We're going to label.
Unless you push the button.
If you push the button, it tells
We'll
you, so
put
we can just write
a
down.
cheat sheet in there for us.
Nate, you drop that all the way and hold the button down as you're dropping it?
It'll run right into the ground.
It will?
Yep.
Okay, can you make that happen?
I mean, I'd prefer not to. It would let me show you though.
Break the screen?
So,
There's no reason to do that.
I'm just saying, if we got a kid over here messing with stuff,
They need to be monitored.
we need to, okay.
yeah, because these are all designed so as it's coming down and it hits the ground, it's going to go slack and it's going to keep going because all of these are designed so that the pipe itself can come all the way to a working level. So if you need to take that screen off, if you need to take a curtain off or something, it does you no good if you can't get that pipe all the way down. So the kids are going to have to be supervised. Only kids that you trust should be operating it, or no kids.
Supply system. They're not going to run a regular
Yeah.
supply system into the ground. No, these
So there's no tablet interface to this.
No, unfortunately not. No wireless app control or anything.
Right.
That'd be too dangerous.
Yeah.
You can sit out there and do it.
The rest of the equipment in here and rigging that's up here, does it all do the same?
All the same thing. The only ones that don't are the acoustic shells. And there's only 2 of those, but yeah, the rest, I think the trim is 4 feet is where the pipe stops on the vast majority. So yeah.
Don't have the weight sensor, so when the weight changes, because it's not supporting the pipe, it won't stop.
You can do that, so we'll cover how to do that. The second key switch on here is called load profiling, and there are a couple things you can do. If you turn it counterclockwise, maybe, is this the right key?
So we're obviously going to have to get those keys too.
Yeah, and so there's 2.
Yeah, there's 2 keys, and they're kind enough to stick them on the same stupid keychain. Let me grab my other set real quick.
There's 2 more, but they won't be here till Friday.
They're not ready yet. They're not ready yet. Got it. I was with Debbie and Craig.
So when you stick your load profile key into that switch, you can turn it to on, off, or learn. So on, off, when you turn it over there, everything will show up as yellow, and it will tell you select monitors to monitor. Enabled is green, disabled is yellow. So right now they're all disabled. So if we were to enable number 3, then it means it now watches that load on that bend. So if that suddenly changes, it will freak out and tell you that it's changed.
And
So-
why would we want to watch the load on it?
So the biggest reason for it is to keep, in like a situation like this, is to keep unauthorized loads from being lifted, whether that's extra lights, extra sets, or extra bodies. So it will know how much weight is on here. So the other side,
So if you add a couple lights to the first electric, do you have to?
there is a learning
reprogram?
process. Yeah. So if you go to learn,
My next question.
if you go to learn, it'll say select a motor to learn. You would push that motor, and it tells you on here how to do it. And if you run it from, basically the whole bottom to top, it will log what that load is the whole time, and then it knows. And after that, if you hang a bunch of lights on there that you're not supposed to, or if little Jimmy tries to ride up it to impress his friends, then it will say, hey, the load is not what's expected, and it will stop. So if you want to change it on purpose, then you could put a bunch of lights on there, come over here to the learn setting, pick the motor that you want to learn, and run through it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so every time we rehang then, we would probably then come over and relearn that.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you were using the load monitoring. If you have it disabled on all of them, it doesn't matter. So like certain ones, it might not matter so much, like your curtains. I feel like it's kind of unlikely that somebody's going to grab onto a curtain and try to fly up, whereas things like electrics or GPs, people are more likely to hang stuff on there that they shouldn't, or
Is that general
purpose.
So does it work both directions as far as if the load lightens?
Yeah, it should.
The same thing?
Yep, so that's why in theory, even though that's
Comes
not,
down and it loses that weight,
then it should
stops
know, yeah.
Before it.
So like you could set, for the screen, we could set the opposite means the load lightens so that, which may make a lot of sense to do, so that if this thing hits the ground, it stops.
Yeah.
And we don't screw that thing up because it's too big.
Yep.
Just program that in now.
Can we do
Yeah, well, I mean, we could try it. I've never done it in the down direction.
Thursday of next week, we'd like to use this. I don't want to screw that up on day one.
Yeah, because then you have like something about the chair.
Right.
Can we preset where
And
they stop?
then it goes.
Yes.
So can we preset where the screen stops?
We need to put the curtain on for it, but we can do that a little later. The bottom curtain's off right here.
Yeah, we'll have to reprogram that, but we'll try it right now.
Is the brand on? Is that a manual hold to shut it and open?
Yes.
Okay, and I saw that over there. So you just do that manually.
Yep.
Okay.
dead hung?
Yes. It is one of the very few things that's dead
So
hung.
it won't get. Oh, it doesn't go up. Okay.
Always, this way it always stops. If we set a hard stop, you'd never be able to move it without.
And are these down here, Nate? Are these just DMX?
This is all lighting stuff that will be covered in part of the other training.
Well, you would never be able to get the pipe all the way.
So it had me go all the way to the top limit, and now it's having me go all the way to close to the bottom limit.
My shoulder, we're going to say, it's a lot to look at. Honestly, every person who comes in is going to put their limit cart in a different place. Most of the time, we're just going to do this manually. It's like every person who comes in and does a lecture is going to roll their little cart to some other different place. And so we're probably just going to do it manually, just like we did before, most of the time.
Yeah, it's not going to have presets
Because it's not that
necessarily.
hard. Yeah. But they're
All right,
going to
let's see.
Right. So, which means it'll have to be up. Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine. I mean, they're just going to let this people just come in here and okay.
Not like we used to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that's not going to fly.
I was going to say, there's a key to this. Yeah. So,
There's a key to this, and then there's a key. And I'd imagine they're just going to hand that out to anybody that wants to have. There's only one key to the box.
And that one,
That one what?
that one might be able to make complicated.
Yeah, we're going to need a couple. I'll need one.
So I programmed this in wrong so that it will show you what comes up. So right now it thinks if you try to go up that the load is too heavy, so when you try to move it, it will light up red and it will say load too heavy and it won't do it.
Okay, this is answering
So I'll have to
your question.
reprogram this later.
So he made it.
So I made it so it thinks that the load is too heavy so that you can see what it does when it stops. So right now if I try to move up, it will turn red and it will just say load too heavy and it won't go anywhere. So if you run it into the ground, the same thing will happen the other way. So once we put the curtain on it later, I'll try to reprogram it so that it will do that with the curtain on it.
And this is kind of maybe a silly question. Once the right here and we're projecting onto the screen, is it just one of those projectors going to be set at its angle, and then we find the right screen height and play with that piece?
And then you can put in a little preset so that it will go to that spot every time. Yeah, that's what those little trims are.
And he said it'll pause there. You can override it by pushing past it, so it won't permanently stop there. So you can override it and still run it down, but it'll pause there so you can hit it and it'll...
That way you don't have to sit there and try to push the button really quick over and over to get it to the exact spot. It'll just stop it where you told it.
It'll go to where we angled it, so you shouldn't have to try to position it. Is that right? You know, it would
Up an inch.
This is ETC also?
Yes.
Good. And does it have a name?
This is the Quick Touch Plus.
I might go see if there's a video. Which I'm
Yeah, and there's videos, and the manual is really helpful.
Do we have the manual?
I do not have a paper copy of it.
Could we get one?
Yes.
See, all this ETC, like you were saying,
At least one.
They got a great website, and I've been there before. So just rigging control.
Get over here real quick.
Touch Plus.
We were talking some sound and some other stuff. Could you explain the trim, how to set the trim?
So the other thing that's important on here is the emergency stops. So there's one here, there's one on the wall right there, and then there's one on the wall on the other side. So of course if something goes wrong, all you have to do is push the E-stop and it will stop everything.
You guys hear that? Emergency stop.
And when you release it,
Red button.
it will also make you cycle power before you can do anything again. And what that does is it forces all those motors to go through that.
You just have to turn it off
check.
and turn it back on. Okay.
Yep.
Nate, are those the only two locations for E-stops?
Here, one on the wall back here, one on the wall over there, and then there's also one on the little remote pendant, which I'll cover. Nope. Just down here. So this also comes with a handy dandy little remote pendant, which plugs in right here under the on-off switch. It's got a nice long cord. The thing that this is best used for is really for those truss out there because you can't see those from right here.
Get down. Focus. Take it back up.
So to operate this, you do it the exact same way. You push whatever motor you want to move, and then that motor just applies to the buttons on here.
That's mine.
Everything works the same way.
Same ideas.
Yep, same hold to go down, hold to go up.
To here.
So there's a little port on here that says remote.
Okay. And then you choose your...
Choose your motor, and then you wander over there and push the button to operate it.
Rather than guessing. Also, when you're hanging lights and focusing, that's going to be very handy.
Now, I know this is a lot of information, of course, and it's going to take some practice before you guys get all this down, because I know you won't remember it all. So, like everything else, if you just remember to Google it, you'll come up with everything that you need to know. ETC, who makes it, their website is etcconnect.com, and we'll have everything in PDF form as far as manuals go. If you go to YouTube and search whatever it's called, like the ETC Quick Touch Plus, which is what this controller is, they have short videos of how to do everything on this, so it's really, really super simple.
And along with PDFs, we'll also have hard copies of the owner's manuals as well with Tim. Fill him down in his office just in case as a backup.
So remote, it just plugs into the little remote port there, and then select whatever motor you want to move, and then just push up or down.
Up and down. 1 and 2.
Yep, so it works basically the exact same as this. You just have to select your motor and then walk to wherever you can see Or have somebody here pushing buttons while the other person stands over there and moves.
What did you just turn on here?
This turned itself on because I got too close to it. This is the lighting control touchscreen, which will be covered in the lighting training.
Okay, got it.
And then just to reiterate, the truss out there, same thing. The limits are set at a point where the lights will run into the seats. So the truss won't run into the seats, but anything hanging from it will definitely run into the seats. So just watch for it. Yeah, there's a drawer under here, which is where we've been keeping it. So if you want to store it somewhere else, then
What's that?
great.
For that remote.
There's a drawer
Oh, great. Okay.
here.
Okay, good to know.
I don't know if that's what that drawer was intended for, but that's where I've been putting it. So
And maybe that's where the manual would go to?
probably.
Put the statement, the manual?
Yeah, the manual will be.
Any other questions about the motorized rigging?
Not right now.
Not now.
Yeah.
Come on, watch the video. I don't have a whole
Where's the
bunch.
electrical breakers for this?
So this guy is actually powered over that Cat 5 line from the raceway up there. So if you turn those raceways off, this will also turn off. So this is run basically PoE, this controller. And that PoE comes from those raceways up there. So if you actually wanted to remove power from this for some reason, then you would have to turn off the raceways
The raceways are powered from what?
from that electrical room in there. Yep.
Is there a shut off on there that just shuts that down?
There's the little power key switch right here, just the on-off switch, just turns this on and off, yeah.
So let's say there's smoke rolling out of that. I don't have time to get a key. I need to shut everything down. You can't take the key out with it on.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
it's on, the key is locked in.
Yeah, so if it's
key
on,
will
the
be
key
there.
is always stuck to it. But even so, if it was off and it was smoking, then same thing, just go kill power.
But there's other components in this cabinet that could be smoking.
So like other equipment, we usually have a disconnect on the outside that we can turn it off, lock it out, that kind of thing. But this doesn't have anything like that. So it's
Just the keys. Yep. One other thing to note too, as far as an operational standpoint, you'll notice these motors are really quiet. That's how they should be. So when you go to move it, when you first push the button, you'll hear like a loud thunk. Maybe. There.
Okay,
So
so that's
you'll hear the
the
thunk. So that's the brake coming in and out.
It's a good indicator.
Wasn't it?
Yep. So
Right, yeah,
because it
I
was
heard
on
that.
that side.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, the brakes are where the motors are, so it'll go back and forth. Right?
Yep, exactly. So, so you'll hear that thunk, and it should be pretty quiet when it moves. If it really sounds like the motor is like laboring heavy, or it's making funky noises, then that might be a good time to call in. But typically, if it sounds like that, if it's making bad noises, usually an error will pop up on here. Okay. So, I think that is pretty much it for that. Ryan, do we want to take like a 10 or 15 minute break or something before jumping into the lighting fixtures?
You guys need a break? You guys need a bathroom break? Nothing? Let's go right into it.
Cool. Let me lower in one of these electrics.
Seth, we got one question for you.
Yeah.
So if this thing, any of these start to malfunction and they want to start the ball,
Push the E-stop.
so my question is, once they start to go, there's no time to get to the E-stop. Is there some kind of safety mechanism to hold it?
No.
No safety brake or anything?
Nope. So, well, there's a mechanical brake in the hoist, and then there's electrical holding power
If it
too.
starts to go, it's just going to go.
Yeah. Now, it is extremely unlikely under any circumstances that it should be able to go on its own. The only problem I've really ever had with these is a brake getting stuck. And if it will come up with an error if the brake is getting stuck, and the biggest thing with that is if it comes up with that error, don't keep trying to run it down, for example, because if you're running it down, it drives it farther into that stuck brake and makes it even more stuck. But other than that, yeah, that's way more likely than ever having it coming down on its own.
And if you try to overload these things, they won't move. If you
Yeah.
put too much weight on there, it won't go up.
Even if it's not monitoring the load and you put weight over its capacity, it'll just get mad and not move.
So if it's showing the error, brake stuck, we need to then contact you guys.
Yep. Contact ETC.
Our electricians cannot.
Yeah. Really, it's designed that, basic troubleshooting, like turning stuff on and off, you guys can do, but beyond that, it's a specialty thing. But for the most part, it should be pretty error and maintenance free.
That's me. Yeah, Marjorie and I are.
Have you ever read that before?
I have that, yeah. Yeah, I have that. But it's a little bit, once you get one to...
On pulling this curtain down.
Well, there'll be two
When I come in here, I gotta pull this curtain down real quick. What do I do?
Okay, so like which curtain?
The screen. That's what I'm
Oh, the screen, okay, for example. So you would push number 3, which is the projection screen, and you would just push down for down, up for up.
Just turn the key on and make
Yep, just turn the key on and go. The only thing that you would need to know is if you needed to stop it at the specific spot for the screen. So sometimes it won't be loaded, so you'd push this trim button, and you'd have to select which one it is. I would recommend, I'll delete.
The motors are like ancient.
Hey, Karina?
The motors we use now are so, like you were saying.
I will make it so that there is only one recorded stopping position for the screen. That way, you never have to know which one to select for it to stop at.
Well, that stuff's prevalent. I mean,
Will you be using that? I mean, not just the,
cable clips.
She knows my system.
We're not using it.
Cool.
Well, they might use it in the future.
Yeah.
Stuff I learned in high school.
Exactly, no, I agree. We didn't know how to fold the screen down,
Like
so
I
we know
learned how
how
to weld
to
and
fold
use a cutting torch. And
Cool, I'll start from the beginning. So you would come up and you would just turn this key switch to on. All the motors will come up. The projection screen is number 3, but if you push the button, it will say projection screen right there. And then you just push the down button and it will come down. And it should stop on its own at a certain point, but if it gets close to the ground and it's not stopping, then let go of the button. Yeah, so it stopped at the one recorded location, which
Pretty basic.
Yeah.
Blue button for us,
Yep.
and turn the key off when we're done.
On the arrows. We got it.
Because that's something that we will have to do a lot of. The rest of their
Yep.
At Roosevelt, which they was a lot nicer, but you still had to figure out the weight and stuff. Right.
All right, Nate, we good to move to the next?
Yeah, so we're going to move on to lighting. So I'm going to send the screen out.
Screen going out. Screen going out.
Lighting is
Nate, going on with reverse, what you're doing right now, is there a stop, automatic stop on that thing?
Yeah, so it will stop when it gets to its upper limit before it runs into anything. But it's good to always watch and just make sure.
high trim is 3411.
Yeah.
And then all of them then would be 3411.
They're around that, yeah. Alright. Okay, so first electric coming in.
First electric coming in.
That's where it's more than usual. There's a lot of work on that. Short amount of time.
Now, of you guys who are going to be working with the light fixtures and stuff every day, you guys seem pretty familiar with light fixtures, yeah?
Marjorie.
Yeah, some of the new ones.
That's
How much have you used like LEDs?
Not much. That's where
Okay.
I
So
have
that's
that little gap
fiberglass?
there.
Cool.
Traditional units are cool.
That's why.
But the
Why fiberglass?
It's a-
concept. I don't know how to do the regular.
Yeah,
It's,
we'll
never
cover
used
that.
these
Before.
They're heat shields.
What you do with it.
Yeah, it's fiberglass because they're heat shields. You put it between hot fixtures and your curtains so you don't burn your curtain.
Good idea.
Yeah, they're really itchy and
So
annoying.
are
now.
all the lights LED?
They're mixed.
Okay.
So I will show you some of what we got going on here.
They're not this anymore, which they were when I was in college.
So, you'll recognize most of the fixtures here, whether they're LED or not. Obviously, you have Fresnels, you have your ellipsoidals.
Right.
We have some PARs, and we have some cyc lights upstage, which I'll show you.
Okay.
And then there's work lights, which aren't currently plugged in because we don't have cables for them.
So traditional LED par.
Yes.
Okay.
Regular LED par. On stage, I don't think we have any LED ellipsoidals. I don't remember, but the cyc lights are LED. Let's see if any of these are on. So with LEDs, there are a couple things that you need to know. All of them will have a display and some buttons of some sort, and that's because you need to put in an address. So you guys have a good concept of addressing. So
Loose concept of address.
So with LEDs, basically all of the controls are built into the light because they have multiple parameters. They have brightness, colors, sometimes effects. So every light needs to know where its instructions are coming from. So the console is sending out all these instructions for all these different lights to do different things, and it needs to know what chunk of this am I listening to. So each one gets an individual number. So this one, for example, its address is 11.
Okay, you touch a button there.
So I touched a button and it just woke it up.
So every light has its own address.
So of the LED ones, yes. So these lights, the color source part, take up 5 addresses. So this one will take up 11 through 15. So of the block of data that is coming out of the console of instructions, this one listens to 11 through 15. So the next one down here would
15 through 20.
Through whatever, yes.
Yeah, got it.
So
and then the one second here,
would be lower number.
And those
whatever.
are already, they're on there when we
They're already in here at the moment.
it looks like to be sets of 4 or 5.
Yeah, so it's
channels,
different per
colors,
fixture.
And each one is a different color, correct?
Yeah, so this one I think has like master intensity, red, green, blue, and strobe. Some of the the LED ellipsoidals here are more advanced than that. They have like 10 channels.
Each channel is different.
So you really just got to be familiar with how that fixture works.
Yeah.
So if you move them around, of course, you can change the address. You just got to remember to put it into the console, which
when you're setting your
Ryan, which Ryan will cover all that during lighting training. You can address these as the same, but what will happen is they'll then all do the exact same thing because they're all listening to the same chunk of instructions. There's all the basic stuff like a C-clamp, which you guys know how to use, safety cable, which you know how to use. I always recommend pretty much all fixtures these days have an actual anchor point on the fixture body themselves. Whenever possible, I try to hook it to that. That's the most reliable. That way, if the clamp breaks or if the yoke breaks, you're still attached to the fixture itself.
A lot of our old ones didn't have that.
Don't have that.
Yeah. All your LEDs also have they have power and they have DMX. Most of them daisy chain these days, which is nice. So blue is input, gray is output. So this comes from the fixture before it. This goes to the fixture after it. DMX is the same way.
And the LEDs, the reason that these are connected to each other is because they have to talk to. No, this is going to the
This is
console.
just power.
I see. This is going to the power, and this is going to the next light. You said?
For power. So the reason it's different is the old school lights, the regular halogens, the console tells one big dimmer rack what to do, and then that dimmer rack controls the power circuit to every single one of these lights. So this light is dumb. It doesn't know anything. It has a lamp, and it just works based on the power. Yep, and that's all you get. These have everything built inside, the dimmer, all the controllers, everything. So these have to be plugged into a non-dimmed circuit. Which is labeled up here. You got ND2, which I should have covered that.
Some power bits.
So your old halogen fixtures are all plugged into individual dimmers, and these guys just have constant power, and then all their brains are inside.
We have one of these per batten.
There's a couple. You have ND1, ND2, so it looks like you have 2.
But then you can daisy chain the power too.
Then you can daisy chain them, And most of these.
And that's what you've done here is daisy chain that one to the other light, so it can be into here as well.
And you can daisy chain really any way that you want. The only limitation is, I think, it depends on the fixture because of the power draw, but usually it's 7 or 8 fixtures that you can daisy chain in a row, which is really nice.
That's a lot of these.
There are some on this. Yeah, there's some on the other battens.
Yeah, this is awesome. I don't know how awesome it's going to be.
Are these
They probably just keep the LEDs where they are, right?
As these, they are.
So
I think we should label these.
So the non-dims are. Oh yeah.
Label
we should label the ends of these connectors as non-dim.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a
are
good
they
idea.
different than these?
So these,
They look
everything
a
is
little
stage pin.
Right.
So you could technically plug in one of the LEDs into one of the dim circuits.
Which would be a bad idea.
And it won't immediately explode.
Right.
It will just, if you try to run it that way forever, it won't be happy. It'll probably
I see what you're
reduce the
doing.
life.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking, yeah, I know, but you're right. The kids
for
don't-
students.
For students,
Yeah.
All right, I get it.
So label the non-dimmer.
Non-dim cable.
Yeah.
If we, okay.
So, I mean, if
That's
it were
another thing
me,
we could
I
do
would
in class.
probably wrap some blue tape around this and then some blue tape around the plug or
Something
whatever
like
so
that.
that they're all matchy-matchy.
Non-cable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
But I mean,
reason...
you know it's because it's got this thing on the end, which is completely different than anything else.
Yeah.
But they could still just plug this right in.
Right.
Which it
Right.
could have negative effects.
Right. I was going to say, so what are these? Are these found? What are these?
So these are work lights.
Oh, work
so
lights.
you have the LED work lights here. There's just no cable extension
So
cables
that's
for them
gonna
at the
get
moment.
taken care of.
Yeah,
Okay.
at some point.
And they've got the
Because
old...
that's what generally we use in,
Yes.
in the spaces.
The reason for this is these just draw so much more power if you want.
So this
No,
is
actually less power,
yeah,
but
it's
it
less.
comes to a dimmer.
It's not variable either.
Got
It's
it.
variable.
So-
this is a power dimmer. Okay.
Yeah, these are dimmers, and the power is variable out of it. And even if you were to put this at 100% output, since it goes through a dimmer, what it does is it chops up the sine wave of your power, and so you never get a full clean sine wave. So these want nice, clean, unchopped power.
Just want it all the
So, yep, not through a dimmer.
And where are the dimmer racks?
So there is no dimmer rack
Oh,
actually
they're right
for this.
here. They're
You
here.
have
I'm
smart
sorry.
bars.
Right, okay. We have
So
Me not looking.
a smart bar is basically just this thing with, I think, 4 or 6 or whatever dimmers in it. Rather than all of your dimmers being in a rack somewhere, it's kind of distributed dimming.
Okay. And it's controlled where?
From the console.
Up there.
And it also has some addressing settings on here, but you should never have to touch them on here.
Okay, and these are breakers.
The console works.
Yes. Yep, you can turn those on and off. There's also a button here where you can turn circuits on from here for testing.
Oh.
But I think that will probably be covered by Ryan's training for ETC.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Let me grab some of the accessories real quick.
I'll make a few phone calls, see if it's not just something else.
So you've probably seen most of these
yeah.
before.
Yep.
You have a bunch of top hats.
Sweet.
And
so many cars and smells.
yes. So you,
We have a bunch of these somewhere.
yeah, so in the room up there is where all the accessories live right now. You have tons of extra cables, spare lamps.
We haven't had access to that yet, so I guess we'll see that.
We can wander up there. It's unlocked.
And we got some
And
barn
a
doors.
whole bunch of barn doors.
Sweet. It's up there.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's another.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
If that room stays unlocked. It has been unlocked the whole time I've been here, so.
Yeah, but we'll need
It shouldn't be, yeah.
We'll need keys for that. Is that the auditorium key? Do you know?
So you also have diffusion for the LEDs. They come in a whole bunch of different
We had a
varieties.
bunch of those at the old school because we had like 5 LED cars.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
they've got, this way, that way.
They say what they are, so this one is narrow oval.
Oh, okay.
And there's a little label that says what it is and says install this side toward fixture. And you put it in the bars
Right.
just like a gel frame.
So, and there's a bunch of those.
Yep, there's a bunch of these up in a box.
That's good. Again, because there's so many cars. Not a lot of No. Well, I guess I'll do it. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll bring that back down in a minute and we'll look at some of those.
What's that?
So I'll cover that out there. So let me bring that truss down and then I'll meet you guys out at that truss.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you definitely.
Excuse me.
So I had one of my guys write down letters on each corner, and he didn't do a very good job. I was going to redo it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have time. So you might want to get a pen and label it your way later on.
Yeah, you should talk to Tricia and Marjorie about that because they have a theater class.
All right, truss coming in.
The guy that I had to do it, I was strapped for time, and I'm like, hey, you go do this, because I couldn't have to sit around. And I had to But you'll realize. So you need to make sure those are set up. Number 1 and number 1 frame is on the far side. And then so then when you come in, I have
Exactly what we did. We brought them down, I think, 7 feet.
Nate, you want us down there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Back down the truck.
Cool. So one of the absolute most important things about hanging lights on this truss is that you have typical cast iron theater style C-clamps on all of your lights. And you cannot use these clamps on aluminum truss without protection, because these pins will punch right through that truss, and that is very bad. So we provided you guys with a whole bunch of custom-made truss protectors, and what these are is just PVC with a slot in it if you ever have to make more.
They just slip on.
And yep, they just slip on. They're kind of stiff, so you gotta kind of spread them out to get them on, but you just whack one on.
But then they
How do you get them on?
slide.
Same thing.
Same thing, yeah, you can slide them anywhere, and then you can just run that pin into the truss protector instead, and it keeps you from stabbing the truss.
Excellent. Okay.
So there's like 10 or so of these left over.
But every light has one there.
Every light that's hung currently has one.
So that's called a clamp protector?
Truss protector. Usually in the entertainment industry, I come from like the rock and roll and touring side of things. We've always just called them truss condoms, but I don't know if that's the most appropriate name for high schoolers. But
That's what they will call
That's
them.
the one they'll find that one on their own.
yeah, they'll figure it
How
out.
many days it takes for them to
Let's see
figure it
how
out.
many days it takes for them to figure out
Well,
what
just a fun question. You know, they call this something else in the rock and roll world.
What do you think they call
I
it?
just have to think about that.
So out here you have all ellipsoidals. They're in varying lens degrees.
Right.
This is one of your LED ones. You'll notice it has a fancier display on it.
Yeah.
I'll cover that in just a second. But so there's a gobo holder slot on these, like all
Yeah.
whites. But in the LED ones, they all have this diffuser in them.
As standard, that's just where it starts.
Yeah, it's important to have that in there. All it does is it evens out the field of light a little bit better, so they all live in there.
Oh, right, because it's behind the lens, so that doesn't actually affect your focus. That's just
Right. Yep.
those little LED
It gets rid of that.
dots.
So those will stay there all the time.
Those
Yep.
stay there.
If
And then
you
there's
wanna
room to put the gobo in with that?
If you want to put a gobo in, you just take this out, and I think it's fine. I haven't ever tried it actually, but this just lives in there to.
All the time.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good to know because the kids will want to pull that out.
Yeah. And actually,
they'll think it's a gobo.
you can probably just stick the
Stick the
gobo
gobo
in there
Oh,
with it.
There you go. Yeah.
And these don't get outrageously hot like conventional ones, so you don't really have to worry about making it. In fact, I've made custom gobos with vinyl, like cutting out vinyl or tape and just sticking it on here.
Always like,
Because it
I don't
won't
want
melt.
to pay $45 for what's his name to make a custom gobo, Rose brand. If we could just cut it, we were doing tin cans and
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Okay,
So you can just use vinyl, huh?
Vinyl.
I mean, I did it with masking tape one time just to
wow.
prove a
but on
point.
the LEDs because they're like
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sweet. But all of these are well, not all.
No, here's a conventional one.
Yeah, they're mixed.
There's a lot. There's 1, 2. How many?
There's quite a few on here.
Good with lights, dude.
I think we're good with units. Yes.
So the menu on these is a lot more advanced than on the color source ones.
Okay.
So I would definitely recommend reading up the manual on these. But
Right.
same thing, you would push a button to wake them up.
This is called a source for LED.
Yeah, these are the source for LED. Let me see if I can get Ryan to turn these on real quick.
Should we be back there? Should we see how it's done?
So the way these ones work is there is a wireless relay on the end of the truss on each side, which Ryan will probably cover. But basically how those relays,
whenever we do that
yeah,
training.
basically how those relays work is when they start receiving DMX, it will turn the power on to all the lights.
Okay, so can we go back there and see how you turn it on?
So it's just like if you were using the console, as soon as you start trying to send lighting levels from the console, it will see that and they'll kick on automatically.
Okay. So we'll
But let me try and get him to send some levels so that they'll come on so I can show you the menu. And the wireless relay plugs into a circuit labeled C for constant, and they're just regular Edison plugs. There's one on each end of the truss.
Okay.
And I mean, you guys, I'm sure, are comfortable with the focus knob and the shutters, all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, and there is, it's really high. Even on a lift, I don't want to go up there and focus.
Now, those ones on the, what do you call those?
The side.
Do we have to use a ladder to get up there, though?
So I put them up with the lift, so I don't know what you guys will have to do to get to those ones.
Did you focus, kind of?
Kind of, but I didn't shutter them down or
And this
anything.
room is painted white. I mean,
Yeah, don't stick your hand on the wall.
I know.
Those
it's
ones-
actually gray. You wouldn't know that, but it's actually gray. So we
you need to do the. We need to get a lift training. I need to get a lift.
I have a lift
You have a
training.
lift.
I
I
do.
need to get one.
We need to just get a lift out here, and we just. How long do we need to tell them before we get it out? You probably don't know that.
You know,
Yeah.
these states are these are.
So we
Yeah, I don't know.
we'll figure that out right away because
Yeah.
we'll need to get those set up for sure.
Do you guys have a play like already on the
We
on the
do.
books?
We have one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so we got these on now. So it just looks more complicated than the other one, but really it's got the same stuff.
this
You
is
can
its
change the address. That's its address right now.
It's 322.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these ones you can...
And
if
what
you-
addresses does this one have? 322 through what?
So this one on this main thing here at the bottom, this one actually tells you how many it uses. This one uses
Oh, it's
10. In the mode that it uses right now, there's various modes. You can read up on that. But the one thing that I really wanted to show you on this is there's a light bulb button here, and if you push that, the first option here is focus. It says it's off. You push enter, it will come on, and you can actually focus these lights, turn them on without having to like set DMX or anything, which is kind of nice.
That's the light bulb one for just
Yep.
the
Getting a light so
here.
you can see.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
You can program them in presets and sequences, all sorts of stuff you'll probably never use.
Right.
Just push enter to turn it off again. This one really you just got to kind of explore the menus to get used to it. If you go to quick setups, there are a variety of different like addressing like personalities that use a different number of addresses that you can choose, or there's an advanced settings that you can change, DMX settings, all sorts of different stuff. Most of it you'll probably never have to touch, but you know if you're ever bored, you can read through the manual and see what all you can do
and
with
we get a
it.
manual on all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and all of it is online, and all of it is on YouTube too. So that's it.
Who's the maker? Luster?
Yeah, this is also ETC.
Right.
Luster's like the name of the.
So yeah, it's the
unit.
series of the fixture,
Okay.
really.
Our friends at ETC, they have everything.
Yeah. So unless you guys have any questions, that about covers it for this stuff. And then we have a spotlight upstairs, which I can show
Is it
you
a
that.
regular?
We just have one, but we got another one. We got two because I ordered one. Remember, so that's the box.
Good.
You already put it up.
Yep.
So do we want to go up?
Should we go up?
Yeah. So we'll wander real quick. It's on that side of the balcony.
There's one on both sides.
It's very basic. Your power switch here has on cooling and off cooling is fan only.
Right.
So after you used it for a while, just leave it on cooling and it will extend your lamp life.
Okay. This is really straightforward.
Yeah, I mean you got your two focus adjustments. You got your damper and your zoom thing. It's all stiff at the moment. I preloaded the gel samples that it came with already.
Oh, thank you.
The black one does nothing, but your orange is a CTO. That's your pink one. You got a CTB, a red, and a lavender.
Perfect. That's awesome. What do we have set up here? Stage manager? Like that's the idea, or?
I have no idea. I don't
Okay.
even know if this is where the spot is actually supposed to be, but there was a power outlet and there's a comm. So I was like, this seems like the spot.
Oh, we used to put them down there. There was see those on the sides.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know it was over there. So it can definitely be moved.
Right, as long as there's power.
Moved wherever. Yeah.
We can also run power.
Is there plexiglass can be put on the...
Yes. Yes. Well, if that's the case, you'll want to come to the beginning of the console training with these guys. So, or I can give you a little tutorial after this job, and I can show you that. Let's see here. We're going to do a tour of what all the architectural buttons do today. I'll show you where all the stations are, where you can plug stuff into. We'll talk about all your little touch screens that are all over the place. I'll note these little devices, but we'll actually learn about them when we do the console training. And then once I get all the buttons done and like where buttons push, then I'm going to kind of transition into what the electricians want to know, is how to fix the stuff when the stuff breaks, so that they can help you guys out, you know, and make sure the lights are on. So we'll talk about the emergency system. We'll talk about the dimmer rack. We'll teach you how to force lights on so that, you know, you can get something on in the space. We'll give you a phone number so that you can call, you know, and get help. We'll show you a job number. I'll show you some plans here that you guys should be getting through the GC, through O&M, so you can kind of see, oh, this is where this device is. Oh, this is where this. That's more for them because they don't live in the space like you guys will. You guys will know off the top of your head. So, outside of that, is there anything else that you would like me to hit today, so that I can make it a part of the training?
Just a quick note that by 11 o'clock we actually have to leave to tend to a fire alarm issue. So,
oh, dang. Okay, I will go as fast as I can. If we limit some of the operational questions until I get through all the electrical stuff, I will go as fast as I can. And then once they go for their fire training or fire issue or whatever it is, I'll hang back and we'll revisit something kind of like a nice wine. So we'll at a later date that's suitable for the teachers, that they aren't distracted. Maybe they want some students here as well to learn the console, that type of stuff. So yeah. So all right. And we have teachers, we have electricians. I don't know.
Tim was here.
Sage. Oh yeah, sorry. You're totally out of context with the shirt. I'm sorry.
Audio engineering teacher.
Audio engineering teacher here.
Choir director.
Choir director?
Yeah.
Awesome. And yes, okay, cool. Sorry, it's been, everyone's out of context, so sorry. So, that's embarrassing.
I didn't wear my orange shirt.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So this is the booth for lighting. And it's the booth for lighting because underneath, if we bend over, I'll try to get down here, there are 3 network connections, right? So this position has 3 network connections so that you can connect your console to, so that you can connect your wireless or your wired touchscreen to, and that you can attach another device. Right now I have my computer plugged into the system so I can control stuff. The other thing that we can do, and this is the mention part of this, and we'll learn how to actually program and deal with this later, but this is a DMX node. It takes the network and changes it into DMX outputs so that you can control lighting fixtures. So this can be placed anywhere. This actually belongs in the black box downstairs. But it can be used up here or down there. It doesn't matter. And wherever you plug it in, it's going to respond to that space because they're independent systems. Okay. We'll talk more about how the information gets there and programming, but just so that you know, if you find a network jack anywhere in the building that says ETC net or SACN or lighting network, I'm going to sneeze. I'm sorry. You can edit that out in post, right? Okay, cool. So basically network in, DMX out for the fixtures. That's what this box does. And we'll learn more about it later. Cool. There is a bunch of literature and stuff over there for the console and a bunch of your other stuff. That black box over there is for your lighting console, so you can box it back up. I left some boxes over here. The white one is for your fader wing panel, and you have boxes for your screens if you want. I don't throw them out until you guys tell me you don't want them, because sometimes theater teachers like to pack them up safely and put them away. So that's what that is. What I'm pointing out are the quote-unquote cases. Road cases were not a part of the lighting package. So, and I don't believe it was part of Stagecraft's package either. So cool. And you also have one of these guys. This is a portable. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but there's one of those DMX gateways down here as well. So you can get output down here.
Where's that at?
Right there, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to be out of the way, but I'm not doing a very good job. And then you have power over here. Everything is plugged into a power supply down here that's battery backed up. So if the power goes out, you're not going to fry your console or anything. It's going to run. You can save your show before it loses power. So that's what that. Just think of it as a big power strip that has a battery inside of it. So all right, let's move this way. Remember, there's a button station right there. There's another one on the other side. We'll pass. It does the same thing. Sorry, I'm going to speed up. Try to get these electricians done by 11.
Remember, I've got to people out of here.
Yep. There's one lighting jack here, so you can move your console over here, but you only get one device over here. Okay, so I'll come this way. You have one lighting jack down here.
So you can put a console over there.
Yeah, so you can put a console over here. This guy right here is the wireless connection for the console, which we'll talk about when we do console training. It's only over here because I'm using the third jack that's over there. It will go back with the console when I free up that jack. So there you go. All right, this button station. Let's get into operations of things. We have buttons at each of the entries into the auditorium. The upstairs buttons, this side and the other side. You have preset 1 and you have clean. All right, so if you hit preset 1 and it's on, it will toggle off just like it's doing right now. If you hit clean, it's just going to turn on the cleaning lights. Right, so just the down lights. It'll turn off these fancy cove lights, things like that, so you're not burning architectural feature stuff that you use for shows and things like that, right? So
you can preset the lights in the board as well, can't you? You have to manually come over here and turn those out, do you?
We can control the lights from both control systems, from the Paradigm system and the Ion system. We can control. The house lights are controlled on a highest takes precedent arbitration. So what that means is that if your console has it set at 50%, you can turn your lights on to full from here, but you can't turn them off because as soon as it passes 50%, your console takes over again and goes down, right?
So it'll only go to 50%.
Right. So if you're like, why doesn't this light turn off? Make sure the other system is shut off. Hold down the master, whatever, so just be aware of that. Let's go down.
Preset 1 does what again?
It's a show look.
So do you see the along the code lighting? Yeah.
This is preset 1. It's a little bit dimmer for evening. It's got a little cove lighting. Yeah, exactly. And this was all set by the consultant. So.
Where's the ambulance?
I guess we'll learn how to do that.
Excuse me.
Can you guys go around, please? Go around. Go around that way.
Going out does nothing. Did you go in the corner? Same type thing with this one?
Same type thing. On, in this case, is the show look, which is like 80%, I believe.
Which is at the green?
This is the green right here. And then this lower one down here, turn it on. Unlocked out.
Anybody can turn that on?
Yeah, so this is on and then this is off. In
Are
this
they going to want a
particular-
cover on that or something? Is it a general area where people come in to show?
This is what was specified. Again, I don't have anything to do with that.
They would let that be in a general use area. We may want to think about some kind of cover eventually or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk with
Yeah, once you guys learn the system, you may or may not want that. So soak it all in and then decide what you need.
What's the top label switch?
On,
In the bottom?
off.
David, electrician.
Oh, okay. So when this is on at show level, 80%, I don't know if you just noticed, does it then bleed into the house? If the house is
Or is it just the light lock?
Or is it just,
This is just the light lock.
okay, so it shouldn't bleed, so you can probably.
It does bleed.
Yeah.
It does bleed, and I'll show you how.
Oh, it does,
So,
okay.
Just follow with me. Maintain. Sorry, I'm trying to get the electricians out of here by 11, so I will definitely answer all your questions. This is a part of the vestibule circuit.
Okay.
All right. So here we have the top button is clean, right? So that's going to turn on all of your clean lights and all that sort of stuff. The next one down is preset 1, then preset 2. Sorry, the top one is class. I'm sorry. It's a class look.
The light, you can see the difference of the
Yeah,
light.
exactly. So at night, just come in and change it. But basically, it's 50%, 60%, 70%. No, that's different. 60%, 70%, 80%, and then this is clean. So this turns just the downlights on. It's the same thing as up there.
Okay.
And then off is off. So just like that. Off does turn off the vestibules. And these do control the vestibules as well, right? So it's the whole look. So there's a mimic station right over there by the other door. Let's go this way. It looked like a sandwich at first. You can see that these lights are blinking on and off as people are pushing them. But this is the same thing as upstairs, preset 1 up top, clean down at the bottom. It's right next to this entry and that door. Yeah.
Before you close that.
You might want to take your phone too.
It might be here in the rack.
It gets heavy because it's leaning to the side. It acts as a support, so you just have to give it a hoof.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the key is. It might be on top.
The owner has the key.
Okay. Oh, they do? Okay.
Yep. I couldn't get into any of my panels this morning because they took the keys yesterday. The door can come off.
Yay.
Right? So, because the last thing you want while you're moving scenery on stage is for someone to run into a free swinging door. So the door can come off, just lift, and you can set it aside. We installed everything in the rack except for this. Stagecraft is responsible for this. You guys probably just learned it. Here's another key. You don't want to lose that. Oh, someone gave you 2. This is Nathan. Hey, Nathan. Is this your key?
No, this one set of keys that's in here, I think, is one of the ones that will be left.
Okay, but this is my single one then. So I could take this back?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. It was just lying in.
One set of keys for this.
Yes, I think so.
We're going to be 2.
At
Okay.
least we have to have at least.
We'll
Scott?
we'll check on that.
So this, we have to have a couple sets of these keys for this.
Yeah, we can't
Well-
make those keys.
Well, hey guys,
Yeah.
this is 2 sets of keys because
Oh, it is. Okay.
this key works on this lock.
And the other one
Okay.
works on the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, each key, these two
Oh, right,
are
right.
different from each other.
That's right.
So,
Yeah. I'll make sure you guys get one.
Yeah.
I have one in the car. I'll just give it to you.
There
So,
had been keys, but keys like to wander off on job sites. So
yeah. And if you guys ever need a replacement key, you can call ETC. Call that number and
I'd like to at least have 3 of those 4 of
Yeah.
those in the building.
yeah, they're pennies. You can also order them off the website. So, yeah, easy peasy. All right. So, down below you have some power circuits. This is constant power over here for convenience, right? This over here you have a GSP connector so that you can plug in your lights and turn it on and test your lights, see if it trips a breaker, you know, do your little demonstrations, do whatever you want to do. Yeah, all right here. It's a teaching station, you know. So this is a standard breaker, 20 amps. It's fully rated. You have DMX output for the first universe, the second universe. You have a network input here, and then you have DMX input 1 and DMX input 2.
When you say universe, what do you mean by that?
We should talk about it during console, but it has to do with DMX wiring, and you'll visually see it better when we're in the dimmer room. No. Yeah, you'll see it up, and yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get you so you can get done at 11. Sorry. I know feels like boot camp all of a sudden, but you have a locking drawer. Keys are inside. You have a working platform. Set your computer on. I don't have anything to do with this, but it's here. This is your comm system. This is Stagecraft, and then here's my lighting control. You can touch the screen. There's a film on it. If you want it to respond better, pull the film off. Just hit anywhere on the screen, and you can go into it. It comes to the house lights. These preset numbers match the preset numbers that are around. So preset 1 and 2 are the same presets that are out there, right? You can set levels on your console, and we'll talk about setting levels on your console when we do your console training. But you can set levels on your console, bring your lights up, hit the record button, and you can record over anything that's flashing, right? So the only thing you can't record over basically is the clean button, right? But you can reset all of your presets. That's where that was. I was looking for that the other day. You can raise and lower your space by pressing raise and holding, lowering, lower and hold. You're highly unlikely to use it most of the time. If you want to adjust individual channels, you can go to channels and you can adjust all the channels. So row 1 is the row right over the stage. Row 2 is the next row back. Row 3 is the next row back from there. Row 4 is the next row back from there. 5. House lights. We're in house lights. I'll come back and go slower with you guys. I'm just trying to make sure they know where the buttons are, and then we can get that. Sorry, the priority change. And then coves are the little LED lights. So you have north, east, south. And then you have the under balcony, which are those school lights that they retained, right? And then the vestibule control is here, right? So, yeah. And then if you these step lights, there are step lights in the vestibule, and you can turn them on here and off. So you can set all of your levels from here. So not just your console, right? You can set all your levels here, just like that. You can go back to your house light page, hit record, and I'm recording preset 5. And so now I can recall what I just made, right? So if I look there and I go to preset 1, you can see that preset 1 is shifting, right? And then I go back and I hit preset 5, and you can see everything shifting back. Make sense? Yeah. Awesome. That was probably the fastest I ever went through that. So Next page is events. This is recordable snapshots. It will record all of your house lights, all of your non-dims, all of Universe 2, right? And that's like all of your stage lights, right? So when you have an event come in, you can give them some looks. You can say, hey, you're event number 3, and you can use any one of these presets, 1 through 3 or whatever.
So you can do all that just right here without even going up to the console?
No. No. When it comes to doing this in your stage lights have to be done from the console, but you can record the look.
Let me back it up. We record the look, and then we've got like lecture event. But
yes.
Don't have to go up there, turn on lecture, done.
Yes.
Okay.
You got it. You got it. And so, this could be, this is the choir teacher's page. This is the, the band teacher's page. This is the theater page. This is everyone else that rents the place page. That type of thing. So, same thing, preset recalls, record, raise, lower, and an off. All does the same thing. Work lights. You got white lights. The work lights are not plugged in at the moment. You can see them dangling with the cords hanging down. I can't do the plug works, but no one bought an extension cable to plug the work light into the actual outlet.
So, simplest scenario, we're just coming in to rehearsal scene and paint some flowers. Just want to turn the work lights on, don't care what's going on in the house. I do that here, or?
You can do it at the door. We passed it. There's one at each door.
Perfect, okay.
And that's the next thing I'm going to get at. These are just your electric work lights. So the reason you don't see them working is because they're not plugged in.
Now, are those the ones in the stairwells?
No. Electrics right here.
Okay, that's the lights of the electric, and then the blue or the stairwell?
Yeah, let me get there. Let me get there. So your next one is your stage high. Your stage highlight is everything on. You can see that everything underneath of the grid, right? So there's lights underneath of the grid there. If I do stage low, it's only half of those lights.
Okay.
Right? It's like normal and emergency basically, but it's, I don't know why they did it that way, because those fixtures do dim. But
you don't control that at the door, is that when you come in?
Yes, you do control that. The door is stage high.
Okay. So when you walk in, you turn the lights on, that's what come up.
Yep, exactly. Right, and then if we didn't have, and it's toggleable, right? I can turn it on, I can turn it off, right? You can just press it twice. Gridiron, that's the lights up above to answer your question from the past. That's how you turn the grids on. Right here is the gridiron.
Is there any other options?
Nope. You have a portable LCD screen up at the console. You can plug it into any network jack and a long extension cord. But yeah, there's no other option. So, you can control your shop lights from here. The lights on the other side of this space, right here. You can turn your shop lights on at full. All right, or you can turn them off. The theory, and you can control your stair lights, right? You control the white lights, and if you like lean out, you can probably see the little cans turn on and off up there in your stairwell.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that's what that is.
Where's that again?
It's right here. Stairs.
Stairs. Oh, I see.
Okay. And then if you have everything on, like you got a bunch of things on, you can hit off, and everything will shut off. Okay. Except your stairs. Your stairs will not shut off with the all-off button for obvious reasons. So.
Shop lights are wrapped into there in case you need to bring something in from behind.
During show scenarios, they need to be able to control light that will bleed into the space. So that's why it's controllable. So the other tab is your blue light system, right? So you can turn your stage light blue system on and off.
Oh, nice.
Right? You can turn your shop blue light system on and off. You can't see it. It's on the other side of the wall. We'll see it when we go back there. And you can turn your stairwell blue lights on and off. So now, if you walk out or if you lean out, you'll see the blue lights on the stairs. What's that? Yeah. Perfect. So, and then you can hit all off, and they'll turn all off. So I'm going to turn some work lights back on the stage so people can see what's going on. Turn your stairwells back on. When you hit the all off button here, sorry, not the all off button. I'll get it in 3 screens. Sorry, I'm ahead of myself. The next one are your non-DIMMs. Non-DIMMs control throughout the space. They're all labeled ND1, ND2, ND3, ND3. Basically relay control circuits for those electricians that don't know what non-DIMMs are. Basically, you see something marked non-DIM 1 and you turn it on. Basically,
Is this for the LEDs? I was going to say, are those
yeah.
the ones with the LEDs?
Yeah. Let me get there. So 1 and 2 are on the first electric, and right now they have the LEDs plugged into them. You don't always have to have them all in that same circuit. 3 and 4 are your second electric. 5 and 6 are your third electric. And if we go to the next tab over here, your front of house truss is there. So your front of house truss is not a, I'll show you guys later, but your front of house truss is not a conventional relay, it's a wireless relay.
So that's kind of a silly question, Ryan. But, so the idea here is that you can come down here when you're working on the stage to sort of access the lights without being up to the console. But it basically can do the same thing.
The idea is that you don't have to turn the console on when you have people in your space. Right, you can set the looks, you can set the lights, they can run everything that they can run from here. That's the theory behind it.
Meaning?
Whoever you run your space, but but there's a lot of high schools out there that rent their space for money, and so this is what they do. So.
Okay, so that's where they would run it. So they don't need access to the board at all.
Correct. Yeah.
If we have somebody using the space, so we don't have to open up and give them access to that, they can.
Yep. You can put it in that little box. You can put it in the box and hide it from them, and you can save your $50,000 for your use and not their use. So. Reflectors, those are these shells right here. You have presets that you can hit and they'll turn on. When you turn them on, so as I was saying, when you turn them on, it will take a minute to turn on because you're turning the power onto the actual light fixtures and their LEDs. Right? So it's a computer, it has to boot. Right? If you go down to 0, it will turn off, right? But if you only go down to 1% or whatever, the LED will not turn off, and then it will smoothly fade up, if that makes sense. See what I'm doing there? So it turns on once, and then it's kind of janky. Or you can, like in your console, you can put it in there, and you can leave the relay on. So.
And how do you change the color?
You don't.
It's just one?
Yeah, it's one color. Yep, just on and off. They're whatever you want them to be, but it's whatever the array is.
Okay, so you can put a gel in there?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But you have to do it manually on it. It's not.
Yeah. That's 30 minutes. So I have one more page on here, and then we can talk about system. Yes?
Instruction manuals, do you have anything like that that can be left in a sleeve in here for
For this, no, because this is all custom. It's dictated by the engineer, so the manual is the specification.
Okay. How about passcode to get onto the screen? Is there such?
So yeah, let me finish going through here, and we'll get to that. Cool. So that went house, event, works, non-DIMMs, reflectors. The home button, this thing that's shaped like a house, goes back to the home screen. The phone itself says, hey, this is the phone number to call for assistance. And that's anything on the ETC system. If the box says ETC on it, they will help you with it. Right? This is your job number. If you give them the job number, they have all the drawings, they have the config, they have everything that they need to help. They are dedicated to responding within 15 minutes. Right, so like right before the show, your lights go off or whatever. Yeah, they're show people, right? So if the lights go off, you don't know what's going on. These guys don't know how to help you out. You know, whatever. You can call them, and someone on a pager. I used to be the guy on the pager. We'll wake up at any time and help you over the phone. We will get the lights on for you. You may not get full control, but the show will happen. So. And then over here, the question mark is, what do all the blinky lights mean? It's your key, right? So that's that. I have one more button I know I haven't talked about. I'll get there. The special tab right here, your password. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Your password is the last 4 numbers of your job number, right? So it's 9075. 9075. So if I go back here and I type 9075 and I hit enter, I get into the special screen. This is where you don't want people to be, right? So this is kind of how you lock things out. So I showed you that it has a record function, right? It says record function. You can disable it, and if I go back out to the house lights, the record button is gone. So
somebody can't come in and change all your presets and
to blackouts or yeah,
right.
Exactly, right? So if I go back into special 9075. I have a lot of job numbers in my head, so sometimes a little slow. There is lock entry stations. So if I click on lock entry stations, you can go out, you can push the button all you want, and it's just going to go whoom, 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 and not do anything. It's going to give you a warning, and it's just going to blink like this, and that's it. It's not going to change anything. Yep. So like your vestibule entry light is now inoperable from out there. And then the last function here is show mode, right? So if I hit show mode, it is going to, actually, let's do it better. If I hit show mode, you can see that the locked entry stations go by itself, right? It locks the stations, let's see what else it does. Locks the stations. It flips a bunch of pages so that the lights on the station out in the house turn off, so that during the show you don't have like red lights glowing all day long down here and down here, right? But when show mode is off, the lights are on so people can see what button to push, type of thing. Show mode basically locks everything out except this screen, basically. So it also, when you come out of show mode, it forces the stair lights from blue back into white.
You're out of show mode.
Yeah. So when you hit show mode off, it forces the stairwell lights back into on position. It actually, those stairwell lights are on a time clock, and that time clock will turn the lights on at 6 a.m. and off at midnight. Right. There is no occupancy sensors in that space for the electricians that want to know. It's on a time clock function, and it's really just to give more control to the space, so it's not on a exactly. But when they go off, the blue will be on. So the stairwell, the last thing I actually have to program, what's going to happen is that when the blue's on in the stairwell, the white is off, and when the white's on, the blue is off during operational hours. After hours, you can shut them all the way down. But during the time clock from 6 a.m. to midnight, you won't be able to actually shut the lights off in the stairwell.
And you have to shut them off manually, or will the system automatically shut them off after 12?
Midnight, yeah. There's a suite that turns all the lights off.
Good. Is there a fire interface for this?
There is not a fire... Yes, there is a fire interface. And I'll show you that when I'm doing the emergency.
Lights up the whole place.
Yeah, I'll show you the emergency system in a little bit. One last thing, last button on the LCD screen. Remember how these event lights, you can like program all your LED lights and stuff in here, and you can recall them. We'll talk about it during the console training because it's a bigger kind of theory type of thing. But I have to do something called space arbitration because LED lights don't work like your house lights on highest takes precedent. I need to give control to one system or the other, right? So when you're doing your production lights, this button tells you who's in control. Right now, ARC means the architectural control system, this guy, is in control of your production lights. When I hit this button and it says ION and it flashes at you, that means an external device has control of your production lights, right? So it's literally just like flipping a switch.
You mean like the console out there?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and so for the electricians that have been around for a while. It's like take control. Systems that used to have take control, that's what this is. And except you can take and give from here. You can say who has control. Yeah, and I did not put it in the show mode macro on the other page because you may have a show without the console and just using the screen. You may have a show with the console, so it's manually controlled. Make sense? And the Ion one is flashing because that generally when people are trying to recall something here, it's because they don't know the system and they call you and you're like, is there a blue thing flashing? And you're like, hit the blue thing. Oh yeah, okay, great. Makes sense? Cool. All right. We will get into all the distribution stuff with you guys after the electricians. But there's a bunch of raceways and gutterways and like plug boxes that are throughout the space on the wall over here that are dimmers or non-dims or constant circuits. So if you look at this one over here, if it just has a number, that's a dimmer rack. If it has an ND in some number, it's a relay panel. And if it's a C, it's just on a breaker panel. It's a constant circuit. So it's a convenience outlet.
ND is non-dim, C is constant.
Yep, exactly. So let's go up to the dimmer rack. Let's talk about the emergency system because that's the most important thing for you guys. And then let's talk about the brains of the rack. And then let's slow down and talk to you guys again. So.
All right, lead the way. We understand that there's electrical room up here. All the electrical is going to.
Yes. Yes. We're going to do what we can do. The owner's rep has all the keys. They took them away from me. They're not supposed to take them until I turn the system over, which is today. So I apologize. But I will talk through it. This right here is an emergency bypass. We're going to talk about the emergency system since it's the most important thing in here. This is the emergency bypass detection kit. This thing detects when normal power is lost in the building, and it also detects right down here, there's a fire alarm interface, right? So there's a fire alarm input right here, it's labeled nice and big, can't miss it. And then there's a few outputs, right? The few outputs go to the DMX emergency bypass, and it goes to the emergency lighting transfer switch system. The emergency lighting transfer switch system is what you guys are used to, okay? It is a 1008 device. It looks like they labeled what key it is. This right here is the wire that comes from over here, right? And it forces it. It also has its own sense feed on it as well. Right, so it's doubly controlled.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Power, so.
Yeah. So this has a sense feed. That has a sense feed. It also has contact closures that will close it. So if anything happens, it's going to work. These are interlocks, right? So you have circuits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and they are interlocked. This one is the normal NML for normal, EM for emergency. If it is in, if this is in, that's engaged, right? If it is out, this is engaged.
So that the contactor, the lighting contactor controls the emergency one, so they're not both all engaged.
Right, yeah. That's what makes it a 1008 device. Okay. And then right here in the middle is an interlock. You cannot push both of them for obvious reasons. So, when it is in emergency, which I cannot do because this is closed up, if you want to test your emergency, you just flip this breaker, and these will close, and they'll go doo-doo, and then they'll come back. And the thing that you're not going to see is that when normal power comes back, it doesn't switch right away. It's delayed by 30 seconds, so that if the power's flickering, it's not like do-do, 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 do-do. Right. Exactly. Cool. So that's pretty standard for an emergency system. Same helpline as everything else. The emergency has the manual right in its box per code, so it's right here.
Reset if you get a power outage and the power goes back on? Is there anything that has to come up here and reset?
No, if things get out of sequence or there's something funky, you can cycle your test switch.
Gotcha.
I've only seen that happen once in like 15 years. And I'm not sure what caused it, so it might have been something on the board of that one, I don't know. Your system will also tell you whether it's in emergency mode or whether it's getting a fire alarm input, right? So if this thing told this thing to turn on, this light will be on. If the power senses something, or something inside of here told this to go on, it will go into emergency mode. One of those ways, I can't show you because I don't have a key, is that we can switch between normal power, emergency power, and then back to auto.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right, we're in auto mode. It's a little, but it's in auto. So, but we can force it into either one if we need to.
And in the emergency mode, I'm assuming that like I was saying, before, all the lights go on, everything.
Yeah.
Will get out. Or
yeah. So here's where we're going to talk about DMX. This turns the circuit on, right? This turns the power on. Inside of here, and there's a little image here, right? It says input, out through, out 1, out 2, out 3, out 4. You know, so there's a bunch of DMX lines that come out of here that go to your house light fixtures, right? They go to the emergency house light fixtures, and so DMX fixtures, unlike 0 to 10, when it loses power from their control system, they still need a DMX signal to force the lights on at full, right? So this is the emergency 1008 device for DMX, right? Just like you have like a BLTC or an ALCR or any UL 924 device that bypasses the power circuit, right? And force it. Yeah, this is the data version of the same thing. Right? So 0 to 10 is an architectural protocol. When it's low, everything's up at full. You know, DMX is an entertainment control protocol where you don't want things randomly left on because you want ultimate control of the space, right? So in order to make it an emergency system, you have to put a UL 924 on it.
Gotcha. And that's to tell it through the data that it needs to be on.
Yes.
And that's not the power side for status, right?
You're right. Yeah, so to turn a DMX fixture on, and I don't care if it's fancy theater lights or the lights in your hallway, you need to have your power circuit change over and you need the proper control signal, whether it's 0 to 10 or DMX. So
in just say a scenario, the power goes out for a few minutes, lights go on, there's a play going on, and it's a real dark part of the play. When it resets, is it just going to reset back to where
it goes to whatever the normal system is outputting.
So it won't go back to the dark part, it'll still, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just saying, in case people were on their way out, all of a sudden it gets dark.
Yeah.
And we want
the most important thing in that statement is that if you lose control of your house lights and it's emergency, people are exiting, don't hit the off button on your architectural system, because that's if they hit the off button, that's the normal state, right? That means everything will go off when this goes back to normal.
So it should just be hands off,
get
out of the building.
From our side, get everyone out.
Yeah.
We're not going to have time to get up here before, hopefully we get everyone out.
Yeah, well, yeah, what he's saying is that even on the LCD screen, don't hit the off button. You know, like if you're trying to like figure out why things aren't on and the last button you hit is off and you're like nothing's off and you get up and you leave, the lights will turn off once this goes back to normal. You want to leave it in a preset state.
So that's for testing up there, just like if we're troubleshooting lights, we want to make sure it's working right, the contact.
Yeah, right. This one is what I would use for testing because it will fire the power side of things and the data side of things at the same time.
That will give us an actual real life testing.
Correct. Yes. So technically, once a month, you're supposed to test all of your UL 924 and 1008 devices. Yeah. You do that once a month. You just come up here, flick the switch, flick it back. So now the last part about the DMX is that there's this green light right down here, and there's a little button. It will turn red when it is bypassing the input DMX and is outputting DMX, right? So if you think about from the control system, it's inputting DMX and passing it through under normal state. Under emergency, all channels, all 512 channels go to full, right? And that will be represented by a red light, just like these are red. Red is emergency, green is good in both cases. And if you wanted to test it, you can just test the data. You can just push this down, and it forces all the DMX to full, and then you let go, and it goes back down.
Gotcha. Okay.
Make sense?
Push down on that?
Yep.
Okay, it's just a push button?
Yep. Just a push button. And it's a 6. Okay, cool. I needed to make sure what version it was. This also has a 30-second delay. They may not be like right together, and maybe like you know, or whatever. But
Yeah, there's 30 seconds.
yeah, they count individually, you know. So so that's the emergency system, right? And the thing about DMX, your question about universes, right? A universe is basically one DMX cable chain, right?
Gotcha.
And it gets a little gray because we can Y things out, like I said, it's an RS-485 signal, much like Nlight. And the Nlight bridges, you can like Y, you know, because you got the opto splitters. The thing with all the blinky lights below the switch, that white face down one, those two that are the same. Yeah, those are DMX opto splitters, right? So they can take a universe and split it into multiple lines of DMX.
It's still the same universe.
Yes, but it will be the same universe. The reason I'm bringing this up is because one universe can only control 512 addresses. That's it. Which used to be, oh my gosh, why would you ever use that? Now it's tiny. Because of LEDs, right? Because if you were in the fixture training, you would know that and I don't know what you guys learned or not, but you would know that each one of those fixtures probably has 14 attributes. I forget what mode it's set to, but there's 14 attributes that it controls. It controls the intensity, the red, green, blue, line. What's that? No. We'll talk about channels if we do console training. The channels are a console thing. Attributes and DMX address. It's an address that we're talking about, right? So we're kind of getting into the ethereal, less of whatever, but that's what a universe is. Right, so the fan timed out because all the circuits are off, and they've been off for that's dimming. It's been off for a certain amount of time, so it just shuts down.
Is the security also the same Spire? Is it the same kind of?
There's no security tie-in to this. Not this system. It's not like the Nlight, where the Nlight has fire and security tied in. All right, so that's the emergency system. We'll work from the panels back to control, head and things. So this is a response device. This is a relay panel. It is set up to respond to network, right? So this is a network panel. The wire is up there. It's all those red and orange blinky lights, and the patch panel's up there. The as-built drawings tell you what number goes to what device.
Oh, okay.
Right. Down here, you have blue for power. You have this one that says DMX. It's going to be dark because we're not using DMX to control this. You have Ethernet, which is blinking like any Ethernet light does, and it's blinking because we are being controlled by this. Then you have an error light. If your network goes away and there is no blinky light and you have a red error light, you know that there's something wrong with the network, and that's why you don't have control, right? Let's say that this panel is WLRP, which is like all of your work lights. Here's your panel schedule. Let's say that, this is sorry, I'm going fast and I'm skipping things. So this is a sensor IQ rack, and there it is. Sensor IQ rack is the name of it. These breakers are smart breakers. Right, so they're a breaker and relay in one.
So when they're breaking, I'm assuming they're on.
Yeah.
So those will change state as the.
Exactly. So the circuit is on when things are towards center, like any relay panel, any breaker panel, right? Mm-hmm. When the light is on, that means it's receiving a signal and the relay is active.
So it's got the actual relay in the breaker.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
And they're rated for like, 150,000 cycles or, something outrageous. Whatever the auto industry uses, that's the same spec that we're using. So, some of them are locked on to always be on, like 25 is the Echo processor power. That's applying power to this guy and over here and things like that. That's locked on. It doesn't matter what control signal it's getting or whatever. It will always be on. It will act like a breaker, and that's it. Let's see here. Okay. Where do I want to go? Okay, let's say that you lose control signal, right? And this will be true whether it's this panel or the panel over here that I'll talk about next. There's this little light bulb button, right? If you press the light bulb button down here, you got 3 different displays. It says set levels, output check, and release set levels, right? You can hit the check mark for enter. You can use the arrow to select what you want to do, and if you move it so the black is over the set levels, you can hit the check mark to enter into it, and then these numbers correspond. 1 is relay 1, 2 is relay 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is not the addresses that are in here. So the control system responds differently. There's a DMX chart that you guys will all get it on a thumb drive, but I need it for the control console. So during the control console training, you'll get how these are all controlled and what address, what DMX address, right? And then if you want to select, so 1's off right now, right? So we can type 1, enter, and it moves over, and we can type 100, enter, and then relay 1 turned on, right? So you can also use and or through. Right, so you can do 1, 2, 1 and 2, or you can go 1 through 48 at full, right? However, that's one way to get all the lights on. Oh, sorry. If you hit the back arrow, it's going to ask you a question. Do you want to release set levels, yes or no? If you hit no, the levels is going to be set from this processor, and it's going to ignore any input and maintain its on state.
Oh, so it won't get anything from the DMX without the other controllers anymore.
Right, it's an override. It's a local override, right?
Until it receives more data?
No, it's local override. Yeah, you have to come back here and release set levels.
Right.
So when you exit, hit yes, because it will automatically release set levels.
And it goes back to whatever the DMX is calling for.
Yep,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is there a schedule for these breakers?
But let's say you're in the, I'm sorry about this video, the oh shit moment. Everything's gone. You gotta like turn everything on. Press and if you're in the main screen, right? Everything. So you don't want to like go through the menu. Press and hold this button. I think it's 5 seconds. It's either 5 or 10.
Oh wow.
Everything turns on.
Gotcha.
Right, and then it goes, hey, all the outputs are forced at full. Do you want to exit? Hit the check mark. Everything goes back to its DMX state. That's the oh shit button.
Okay, cool.
Cool. And when there's an error state, 2 more things on these things. Sorry, guys. 2 more. This is one of the jump drives that I'm going to show you. When there's an error state, you can actually go into the panel, right? And you can use the arrows to go up and down. And there's this thing that says View Errors. You can hit that, and then it says nothing right now because there is no error. But you can press up and down to go through the cycle errors, and it'll tell you what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then the other thing is that, just like Nlight, or it's a computer, right? So if it loses this configuration, it gets a corruption, it gets whatever. Reloading the config is probably the easiest thing, right? This is being turned over to you guys, so I'm going to put it into the USB. I'm going to go to something that says File Operation, right? Hit check mark, and you got Save Configuration, Load Configuration, Update Firmware, and Restore Defaults. Do not hit Restore Defaults. Right. Do not hit Restore Defaults. And don't hit Update Firmware unless you are on the phone with tech support. But under Save Configuration, you can hit check mark, and it's going to go, what name do you want to give it? Echo 1, and you can press up like you can hit enter and then you can select from a list of names, right? I'm going to say Echo 1 and then save to USB key and then hit enter, and it says cannot perform save removal media was not detected. Means I have to format my USB stick, which I didn't do. I just pulled it out of the box. So, but let's see if my personal one is.
And that's loaded with what's been on there before.
Yeah. So now it says saving Echo config to USB file media because that's a formatted one. You can, and now the config's on here. It's labeled Echo 1. If for instance, this goes down, you can actually plug this in, and then you can go to load configuration, hit it, select from the list, hit enter, and it loads the config. Right? That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is you can bring your computer, you can put it on the ETC network. Right, and if the trick is if you turn the console on and the console is running, you can plug your computer in and it will automatically get an IP address and put itself on the network, but the console has to be operating, right? So that's the only gotcha, right? And you can use your computer, and in the web interface, you can type the IP address of this device, and the way that you find that is to go into the menu and go into About. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to put a label on here that it'll be a lot easier because there's like a file structure to go through. But you'll.
Does that happen often where you lose all that data in there?
No.
You have stuff like that.
Generally, it's a big event, or it's rare that it gets corrupt. So a lot of times when people are changing the config, it will corrupt. Like if they're going too fast and try to do too much at once. It's
real quick.
So which only happens during installation, that type of stuff. But you can type in the IP address and it brings up an interface, and you can like activate circuits from there. You can save a configuration. You can load a configuration, all from your laptop. And it's really simple. It also gives you a virtual control panel from there as well. So like if you want to see your lights, bring your laptop, go, oh, it's this IP address, type the IP address in the address bar, and you can do it all virtually.
Oh, you can do it from, okay, gotcha. So you wouldn't even have to come in here and mess with that.
Correct.
That's cool.
Correct. So that's that. This panel over here is the exact same program, exact same thing. It's just a different type of panel. This one, that's a Sensor IQ panel. This is an Echo panel. This is like the architectural version of that panel. This is the less sophisticated because it's not. These are breakers, right? The relays are down here. So you pull this off. There are cards. You don't have them, but you could put phase dimming in there as well. But you don't have phase dim cards because you have a fancy rack for that. But these are just standard breakers. You can go and get them from, I think it's GEE or Square D. I forget, but you don't need to go through ETC to get them. You can use them from any panel. Yeah.
So this is not a Sensor IQ like that?
No, this is an Echo. Yeah, it's an Echo relay panel. Yeah, it's another ETC line. These are really cool for like buildings. These are it's 16 inches. Well, actually, it's just less than 16. It's 14 and a half. Yeah, exactly. It vents from the front, same as these guys, top and bottom. Right. It's convection cooled. The interface works exactly the same. I need to pull the config on this guy as well.
So why would they use that one instead of this one or that, or vice versa?
I'm not sure why they chose this one, honestly, over that one. Because they cost the same. you know.
Yeah.
It is possible during the designed phase that they probably thought, oh, we'll run some of the architectural lights phase dimming. This is the only panel that will phase dim. That's a architectural relay panel, and they were probably like, oh, let's leave the option open, so we'll do that. This is a more robust panel because it's more like it's spec for like automation and things like that, right? So, but they're relatively like I think that adds like $500 or something. They're relatively the same amount of money. So, let me save this config real quick because file operations save.
There's just basic ice cube relays in that bottom bin.
They're not ice cube. They're actual cards.
Oh.
And you literally just pull the card. There's 2 screws. You undo the screws, pull the card right out.
Square?
They're just not cube. They don't have a casing on them.
Yeah.
It's just an open card, and you can do single pole, double pole, or 3-pole relays. If you do put
3-phase or something.
Yeah. These are all single phase, but if you put a 2-pole relay, these would be strapped. You know, that type of thing. So. Yes? Yeah? I'm surprised they don't want to hear all this.
That's why I'm sticking around as an only person that probably cares at all.
All right, so I'm going to move this way. Let's move the camera. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. So, this is the big boy. This has been the industry standard for theaters for 3 decades. This is a Sensor. This is a Sensor 3 rack. It's the 3rd generation. It's basically the same form factor. It hasn't changed form factor since the late mid 80s. And it's pretty nice. So you have breakers over here. They're fully rated breakers. They can go up to 20 amps. They are not derated like a standard breaker is. Right. It will go to 20 amps.
Right,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. It's not like it won't trip at 18. You know, like most other breakers will. It is fully rated. It's automation basically. Over here, you'll see if it's receiving a signal to turn on or not. Right? So this signal is for this guy, this signal is for that guy. This right here is the part number for this module, right? D20E, that's all you have in this rack. You can get all sorts of different types of modules. This is what you have. This is a forward phase 20 amp dimming. E is low rise. So there's a choke inside. And so, yeah, instead of like slamming on it goes, you know, it's got a little curve, but it is a forward phase dimming, so it is pretty sharp. They are modular. You can pull them out and swap them around, right? Which is really good for troubleshooting, right? You're having a problem here. Is it the actual dimmer module that's a problem, or is it something else? You can actually pull this out, swap it with another, and if the problem follows the module, you know, it's the module. If the problem doesn't move from the circuit, you know, it's a circuit problem, right? So you cannot pull these modules without turning off the breaker. The breaker is luckily in the same room, which never happens. PDR1. Yeah.
Is it a bus system back here?
Yeah, it is. I'll show you here in a second. Hit that. It powers down. All your lights are off. You know it's safe. You can pull straight out. It's brand new, so it's in there.
Oh, I see.
So you can see the bus runs up and down. Phase A bus, phase B bus, phase C bus.
Is that what these lights correspond to? ABC?
No, that's just a beacon. It's to light this pole. There's a little thing underneath here that says Sensor 3. Yes. So, but it is a beacon. If it's blinking, there's an error. If it's solid, it's good. So that's your phase over here. Your load's over here, right? Each load is good. The screws to tighten them are right there. if you over tighten the thing, you can break the plastic that holds that lug in. The plastic is really durable, and I think it's like, I think you can go up to like 90 or 100 pounds, you know, of torque, which is way more than what you need for that thing. So if you break it, you've really reefed it. So, and then your feeder comes in on the other side. So this is your feeder right there. Comes in from the bottom, circuits from the top, and then when you put this back in, be sure that you get it nice and square.
Baby it in there.
Yeah, you want to baby it in, but you want to make sure it stays straight.
And the right side is the only one that actually you have to worry about with that circuit board connection, right?
Yeah, you got pins on both, but he's right. This is the most delicate connection right there.
Right.
All right. So
And that's our rheostat dimmer.
so this is the choke.
Choke.
Yeah, so choke for circuit 1, choke for circuit 2. This is your breaker, right? This is your interface, your interconnect for your breaker. This is your dimmer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we call this the power cube, right? If this thing fails in 10 years, it's probably the power cube.
So we have a warranty for...
Yeah, it's a 5-year warranty. I actually have to look. So the parts have a 2-year warranty. The system in general, I think, has a 5-year. I have to look at the submittal, but the casing and the structure, all that sort of stuff, that has like a 10-year warranty. So, yeah, it's whatever it is, more than the Acuity one. So, but this is real easy. You just pull these two here.
Oh, that comes out.
Yep, and
Okay, so you would have
and
to
you
pull
remove
it.
that screw, and you pull it out, and you put the new one in. You have spares of these. I don't know where the owner took them. I generally give them during training.
When you say the owner?
The owner's rep, the contractual owner's rep of this project. So probably Heary.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to go through the OAC team. So the general will have like a transmittal sheet. They'll be able to tell you where these things ended up. I have no idea at this point.
Gotcha.
I apologize. But you literally have a box like this big of spare parts for days. You got spare relays, spare breakers, spare fuses. Yeah, you really should. But yeah. So those are the things. This right here, you can kind of see through.
Yep.
That is how it cools, right? That is really important for phase dimming because you're changing the sine wave, right? So you have to dissipate it in heat energy, right? So yeah, it gets really hot.
Just when the lights are low.
Yes. So when you turn it on, you'll see that the fan will kick on here in a minute.
Yeah, this is a small fan.
No, it's a very large fan. It is this big. And you can feel it up top here.
Drawing in, right?
Yeah, and so what happens is that it's drawing air in through here. It's going in through here as well. So it's cooling the chokes and cooling the power cube. And this is the most important part. You must shut the door so that it's drawing it in from here, going through the filter.
Oh, you leave that door open, it could
Yeah.
dissipating too much.
I mean, just look at, it's been on for a few days in a construction zone and see all of the dust that it's
Is
stopped.
there any preventive maintenance for this thing?
Yes. So when this starts to blink, it's probably going to say clean filter.
Is it just a vacuum?
It's like So you pull it out. Yeah, so you don't want to vacuum from this side, right? Because it's catching the dust, right? You know, so you basically lift, pull out, and then you vacuum.
Oh yeah, that's gotta be probably at least a seasonal thing.
Yeah, so like after the first year or two, you'll begin to know how often you'll need to. It really depends how dusty the space is, right? Some people have to do it monthly. I start quarterly, right? And just be like, whatever. You can also teach the drama teacher, hey kids, go pull the filter out, and go use the shop vac, put it back in, you know.
I doubt we'll ever have students in this room.
Yeah.
Maybe a custodial thing?
You may.
That'd be rough.
I've been a high school teacher. I know how things roll.
Well, yeah, my worry is that this place becomes a storage and
Oh,
Well, they're gonna stack stuff up.
oh yeah.
Here, and it's-
Yeah, this place is going to be a bad storage place.
It's really important that drama communicates with the custodian, probably end up doing that because one, we don't like having students in the right.
Yep.
Number two is, drama's going to be the ones that should take custody of these because, especially in the new building, we probably will never come into this room until something breaks down.
Yeah.
And that'll be 2 to 5 years down the road, and that'll be already boarded up by then.
Yeah.
And we may have issues with that dimmer before anything else here because of that.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make a
And just remember, if it's not getting airflow, it will burn the power cube, and that's not covered by warranty. All right, so we talked about that. Oh yeah, when the door shuts, click. It can get there and you're like, oh, it's
room temperature it has to be here. I mean, it's pretty warm.
It's not about room temperature. It's about this. I think. Oh, it's been a while since I've quoted it. It's either 105 degrees or 125 degrees. But this will throw an error if it gets too hot, and it'll say over temp.
Well, does that shut everything down if you're having issues? It's going to say we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
And so if we come in and the lighthouses, house lights are working, everything, but just the dimmer on the stage stuff, we're having issues with that.
Yeah.
Just be able
Start
to
here.
place.
Take a look at the beacon. See if it's blinking. Down here, make sure the power light's on the seat. This is a CEM module, CEM3. Make sure the power's on. The DMX light will blink like this because it's not receiving DMX because there is no DMX, so that's okay. B is not on, so it's not blinking. Network should be blinking, and then this one is an error/panic. If it's blinking, it's an error. If it's solid, it's a panic. There is no panic wire in here. It just says panic because it can be.
Right.
You can also bring your computer up here, plug right into the network just by jacking in the front, if you want.
Will it be the same thing as that other when you put it in, IPA?
Yep. Exactly. So down here, it will on the front screen, it will give the name of the rack, all that sort of stuff. If you hit enter, if it's in an error state, you can scroll the wheel and it will scroll through the errors.
Oh, very good.
Right? If, for instance, you hit enter and you got into the main menu, right? So there's the error.
Okay.
Right? It says no data port A. You can hit the setup button to get into the menu, right? And you can scroll up and down. There's the file operations, which is the same thing that all the other ones are doing. Sorry, let me get my thing out again. You can plug in your USB stick. You can save to USB. And I want to save it as rack 1, hit OK. It's saving to my USB stick. If you want to load the configuration, you go in and you say load from USB,
Now, if this went down and I don't have a USB, I can still get it downloaded?
Yep. Exactly. This is a much bigger config than the other guys, so it takes a little longer. Yeah, exactly. So that's that. And then the back button gets you back to the main menu or the next level up or whatever. You can scroll, you can tap. I like this interface a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
You can type. Each one of these has a number. I'm not going to tell you the numbers because you'll never use it. But that's what's going on. So if I go up to the top, you can hit this and you can see how every dimmer is set up and how it's responding. All this configured. Don't touch any of it.
No.
You can set up the rack, all that sort of stuff. Don't touch any of that. And actually, I'm going to disable while I'm here because I forgot to do it. I'm going to disable now. DMX-A is not blinking anymore.
Oh, right.
Because I disabled that port because we don't have DMX in it, right? Something I forgot to do. You can. This is your patching, right? So you have DMX patch. That means the patch coming in on DMX-A or B, or you have SACN, which is like your Ethernet patch, Advanced Control Network.
Right.
It is the standard for theaters everywhere. You hit that, you can change the universe number and the channel number, which is the address, right? So you can reassign what they're responding to.
Gotcha.
So be careful.
Yeah, we don't
touch that.
do that.
You can change the IP address by going to the network. We did the file operations. You can do date and time. You don't need to, because this is also an architectural control processor. You can do time clock and all that sort of stuff with it. Don't touch quick rack setup, and the UI preferences is nice because you can adjust the brightness of the screen and all that sort of stuff. Works the same way. If I go back out to the main menu, there's a light bulb button right here. If I press it, I can set circuit levels. You know, you type in the circuit just like this. Works exactly the same way, right? Do you want to release set levels? It's all the same language, right? You press and hold, it will turn everything on. You know, it all works the same way. The additional things in the light bulb button here, there's presets and sequences. That's a part of the architectural thing that we're not using in this. So don't worry about it.
Alright.
And that's basically it on this guy.
Emergency circuits fit on this?
No, it is emergency rated, but there is no emergency circuits in it.
So if there's a fire, does it have anything to do with this?
No.
It's the same state it is in fire as well.
Yep, exactly.
Very good.
All right, so these are all your responding devices, all your relay panels that are responding to your control system.
These 3 panels, do we have a manual instruction?
So all of the instruction manuals are right here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And you'll get them again in O&Ms. I tend to leave these in the electrical rooms so that you guys can have them. All right, so this rack, this is your control system rack. It looks very complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Down here, this is a battery backup. This is a USB, universal power supply, UPS. Oh my gosh, too many acronyms. If you lose power, right, it begins to have a blink.
Working, right?
Yeah, it'll tell you the power level. It'll tell you how many more minutes you got. It's calculating right now how much voltage is being used. It will maintain the processor. It will maintain the all of the data infrastructure up here, so that the system will continue to function until you can get stuff saved, people out of the building, blah 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 blah, etc. Remember that this is just the power in the back, right?
No label on the receptacle.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So over here, so up here, these are the patch bay. It works like any MDF, IDF patch bay, right? These go out to places out in the field, the system, all the devices that I was like, that's that device, all over the place, right? This is the switch. It's a star pattern for the disk because it follows network protocols. All the same, I'm not going to go through all that. These two down here, these are gateways, like that 2-port gateway I showed you up top. It takes Ethernet in and it puts data out or in. If you take a look at this guy, it says 1 with an arrow pointing towards the number. That means it's an input for universe 1.
Oh, right.
2 mean with an arrow is the input universe 2. If this says 11 with an arrow out, that's an output for universe 11. All of your house lights and functions of that, work lights and all that's universe 11. It's out of the way. Someone intentionally has to try to get to that universe.
Yeah, right.
So on and so forth. And then up here, these are DMX repeaters, right? Top one is universe 1, bottom one is universe 2. Okay. If we take a look at the wiring in the back, it becomes much more clear. I wish they left the key so I could shut that. I recommend leaving the keys in the racks unless you guys, because there's a lock on the door.
Right.
Otherwise, at night, you're going to get phone calls. I need a key, I need a key. So, all right. So power coming in goes into the USB, coming out goes to the power strip, and then it supplies power to all the devices. Pretty simple, right? Network's pretty simple. These are all the field wiring. They're all labeled N20, N17. The as-built have the label. This goes here. This goes here. That's the switch. These are the DMX repeaters. These are all the outputs. X, X1, X5, X3. X means that's DMX going out. If it's D, like D1, and there's a D2 somewhere in here, right there, that's DMX coming in, right? So those are the 2 ports that were down on stage that said this is DMX1 input, DMX2 input. They're actually inputting here and getting converted into the network. Right, and so, and then down here, this is your paradigm processor. This is the brains of all the buttons, all of the LCD screens, everything, right? It all comes back to, it's a central control system. It's not distributed like Nlight. It is centrally controlled, okay? And all these devices are just responding to that. So all those little light bulb buttons and stuff, those are the overrides in case the central goes down. You can locally override them, right? Okay. This is the network. So this is the SACN network, right? So it can talk on the network. It responds to the network. It sends commands out on the network. All that sort of stuff. Streaming Advanced Control Network. It's a theatrical standard. Every theater in Portland runs off of it.
So that's like the backbone.
It's a backbone.
Right.
Yeah. It's like the fiber of your phone line.
Right.
And the DMX is like the copper, the last mile for your phone. Like if you had an old school phone. These young people probably don't know what I'm talking about. But and then this guy right here, this is your LAN link power. It's your data communication. So like Nlight, you have a Cat5 cable that goes in and out. It's got a transmit pair, receive pair, and a power pair. LAN works differently. It has power on a twisted pair, so it supplies power so that the LED lights turn on and off. But it also sends communication through the same pair, both transmit and receive.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so this goes out. LAN communication is topology free. Right, so you, like if you want to add a station for the grid lights, you find the nearest wire, you cut it, you splice it in. Do not use wire nuts, use Wagos, because you get a better connection for the data, because it's data, not power.
Yeah, that's great. It's interesting. It just runs it on a different plane, or whatever you want to call it. So the voltages, and then something else rides above it. Communication. Right? That's cool.
The Wagos that have the clamps on them.
Yeah, just the
doors. Not the one way in.
Yeah, the one that you can open and shut. Okay. Yeah, the one with the plates that do this. Yeah, not the knife one. Yeah, you can splice in, change whatever. There's the easiest control network that you can use. Actually, it's really nice.
It's more advanced than the other.
Yeah. And it's slightly more expensive because it's paradigm, right? It's also polarity independent, so you can mess up the wiring and still be okay. Right? The Echo system, which is very similar to the paradigm system, which you may have in other buildings, that is polarity dependent. So always just try to be polarity dependent. It's a better rule.
It's a better rule.
Yeah, exactly. But you'll notice that paradigm devices don't have positive and negative ports. They're just black and white, port 1, port 2, so because it's polarity independent. And then there's a bunch of stuff that we're not using. There's contact closures we can put in, whatever. There's serial that we can put in. So you have everything if you need to add stuff for the future, you know. So that's the wiring in the back. And then on the front, real quick, talking about the paradigm system, you have this is the processor, right? This is the brain of the whole system. This is your station power module, okay? And then this is your station repeater module, okay? It's basically the same thing as this, except it's an extension. You know, it adds more control stations, blah, 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 blah. You didn't need this in here, but at one point they probably had control stations everywhere, and they probably had,
whittled it down,
and forgot to take this out.
Take out the big,
yeah.
It's just like a piggyback.
Right, exactly. So you have lots of room to grow, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Lots of room to grow in the system.
one thing coming out of the top module.
Right, because remember, you can splice anywhere, right? And yeah, I try to keep things clean. I forget. So it's going up. It's probably all spliced up in that gutter there, or
If you parallel, if this being series, you could just anywhere.
yep, anywhere. It's really nice, really, really nice. All right, so let's say there's lights on these power supplies, right? There's aux power, link power, aux power, and link power. Aux power is 24-volt supply. We use it for devices like touchscreens, except your touchscreens are not using LAN communication. They're using the PoE from the data network, right? You don't have any devices that are using LAN or aux power, right? So any power devices off of PoE. Your button stations that have like the LED lights, that's coming off a link power.
Okay.
Right? It's just a little bit of voltage.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
So like the status buttons on all the buttons, that's link power, okay? It also has a fault plus and a fault minus, right? This will detect if there's a short in the system, right? And it will tell you what pole it's on, right? Plus or minus. So if I look back here, there's an A and a B. A is plus, B is minus.
Oh, okay. A, B.
Yeah, A, B. And then this is the aux power. You can get 24 volts out of there.
Oh, okay.
So if you needed a 24 volt power supply, it's right there.
You would have put like a tablet out here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that. If there's a fault or whatever, that's a wiring problem. If it's the lights are off or whatever, you can reset it just by pulling the module out, letting the lights dim because it's capacitors, right? So you want them to dim all the way down, and then you push them back in. They're hot swappable, unlike that.
Gotcha. You want to turn it off.
Yes.
Right, well, then you can do it loud.
Exactly. You can load configurations the same way. You also you can use an SD card in this one, which is some people like. I don't know why, but the interface works the same way. It says system OK when it's good. It'll say errors when it's not. It displays the IP address. You can type the IP address. You can log in via your computer, and you can actually fire any preset or any function. So there's preset, macros, whatever the system is programmed, you can actually fire from your computer.
Oh, okay.
There's just a list of them, and you're like, I want that one on. I want that one on. So these things can blow up, but if you still have the network, you can plug your computer and still turn like architectural lights on. Right? What was I going to say about that? Oh, there's an error light down here, so it'll say system OK or a blink error. You have all the same lights as all these other ones. Power, DMX-A is blinking, DMX-B is solid. I'll shut those off for you because you're not receiving DMX. I forgot to shut those off, so yeah, I'll shut them off. And then network will be blinking, right? You can your version numbers down there. You can go into your system by hitting the check mark. There's architectural setup, architectural control. If for instance you're having a hard time with the button stations, you can actually go to Arch Control in here, hit the check mark, and you can control anything. You can control a preset, a specific control channel, groups, walls. You don't have any walls. You don't have any sequences. You can control macros, and you can control overrides, right? You just go in and you're like, oh look, I can turn on. You select your space, right? So blue light, right? And I can go in, oh, work lights blue off. This one is work blue shop. This is work blue stage. This one is stairs, so I can hit that. And I can activate it, and the blue lights should turn on. Yeah, you should. Exactly. And you can hit it. You can go to deactivate and hear it there. Right. So you're activating everything from here, right? So this is another oh crap, type of thing. Exactly. There is in here there is a timed event setup. You can go in here and you can view your events and time events and things like that. I can leave it like that. You can log into it via computer and do it. I can also put timed events on the LCD screen. Like I can put a clock in and you can hit the clock and it can go into time events. I don't generally do that because people have access to it. So if you want me to, I'll put it in, but if not, you can do it from here. So, okay.
For like a timed event.
That's the on at 6 a.m. for the stairwell lights and the sweep off for the entire space at midnight.
You're right. Keep it interrupt real quick.
Yep.
We've got a half-hour passing time. We have to send at least 4 guys on. What's left for you?
This is probably the last thing.
That was it. Actually, I'm just going through the screen real quick. View clear errors, right? That's another spot where you can view all your errors. And then file operations looks exactly the same, I believe. So there's a couple other things in here, sorry. You have save arch config, load arch config. Arch means architectural, right? And then restore defaults, don't do that. Update firmware, don't do that. And because if you update this firmware, you have to update the firmware of all the devices that are responding to it.
All right, we won't know.
Yeah, don't do that. And then you can save the LCD files. So the LCD screens, all those images and stuff, it's stored here and it gets sent out to the devices. So if your device loses memory or you have to replace your device, you can actually just replace your device. You can bind it in here, right? And then you can save the LCD file and send it to there. And then if you're having problems, there's this thing called save log files. If you're saving logs, you're probably on the phone with tech support and they'll walk you there. But it's just like, this is what happened when it happened. So if you're having problems, notate the time that the problem happened. And from the logs, the factory can go, hey, this is what was going on at that time. So, yeah. So, but that's the most important thing. You have to know when that happened. So, that's everything. And if you come back for console training, we'll talk a little bit about how the two systems interact, and we'll talk about the one-line structure.
Right.
Because it'll be good to go over the one line of the. So it'll make more sense to you. Yeah, which is in the submittal, which you guys don't have time to go over. So. I don't give everyone these. Like Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think my board